This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in business and personal growth. Many successful people started small, just like us, but very few of them documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the last week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. So first, what do you have for your life update?
Uh, Life update's rather short. I have a good business update for this week. But my life update essentially just work.
Usually they're inversely correlated, life and business updates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just busy at work. Just a lot of on the floor stuff, drama between first shift and second shifts.
Cool.
Yeah, everyone hates me, but that's
Really?
okay. Yeah.
Why?
Because I work jobs on second shift and then I find issues with the paper, which are 99% of the time brought to me by the quality
Mhm.
on that job. And then the quality essentially kicks it back and says either fix this or cut the job. So I have to go and fix it, make an alteration and blah, blah. And so that happens about every other night that I find something and I'll see it like in another wad. And so I'll put out an email and be like, hey, try to fix this before you go and work it because it's going to get shut down by quality. But then they don't do that. They just work it on first shift. They have more skills or lying ability than I do in order to convince the quality that they're wrong. So they push through it on first, and I take over the job on second. Quality kicks it back for the same reasons that I put in my email. They didn't fix it, so then I have to fix it.
Right.
And so it's just this constant loop of like me having to fix their stuff because they're either able to convince the quality that they're right or um they just work through it because the quality doesn't notice or whatever. But stuff like that, they just get frustrated. And so I'm really happy that I have all of next week off.
You have all of next week?
I took the whole week off.
Why?
Partially for the conference that I told you
I
about.
get why you fucking don't want to go, but
Yeah, well,
do you,
partially because of the conference
uh-huh.
that I told you about.
Yeah,
And partially because I don't want to be there.
sure. Do you have all that
Um,
PTO?
yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I am
and
at a
after this week, I'll still have another full week of PTO.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
I have at any given moment, I have maybe 20 hours of PTO because every
Oh.
day, once I finish my work for the day, if it's 3 p.m. and I still have another like 2 or 3 hours to go, I'm like, what am I doing here if I'm not doing any work? So I'll just like burn an hour of PTO.
Yeah.
And that happens like, a couple times a week. It's pretty frequent. So like I earn like 5 or 6 hours of PTO a pay period, and I like very consistently do nothing. If I know there's something coming up, like tomorrow I'm taking off for Grace's birthday. I have PTO built up for that. But
Yeah.
it's crazy for me to hear that you have 2 full
Yeah. I
weeks.
took
That's wild.
yeah,
Good
so
for you, dude. That's
I'm
all.
taking one of them just
Mhm.
completely off.
Nice.
And
Will the
I
rocket take off without you?
I hope it does so I don't have to come back and deal with it. But it was what so my team lead messaged everyone on so I've had this PTO scheduled for a while,
Yeah.
pre-planned. My team lead messaged the whole team on Friday and said, "Hey, I'm going to be out all of next week." So on top of him being out,
And
I'm
you're
going to be out, right?
nothing's getting done.
Right. And so he was like, "Hey, these are a couple of bullet points to work next week." And so then the other senior guy took over as like team lead for the week, and he called me up and he was like, "Are you going to work Saturday?" Which was yesterday. And I was like, "What do we even have?" And he was like, "Well, management wants to see support." And I was like, "No."
I want
I
people want to look
I
like you're
said, "Quote, I'm not going to do one of these make management smile shifts. If there's real work to be done, I'll consider showing up.
Yeah.
If it's going to be one of those that management wants to see support, there's no shot."
Yeah.
And he went a very despaired okay. But to be fair, I've always taken up those shifts.
Mhm.
I've always worked them. I've always stayed late. I've always tried to be helpful. And it's a team of 8 people that are available.
Mhm.
Already subtracting the people who are out for the coming week.
Right.
8 people who are available, and none of them are willing to come in on Saturday besides one of the guys, right? And so I don't see how that falls on me, especially when I've already requested PTO.
Do people very often move from your contracting company to government KSC positions in NASA?
Occasionally. It's usually like the top players will move up within like 2 to 4 years.
Interesting.
But it's unusual. Like, unless you, like, apply and are, like, a real advocate for it, or you cross program,
Yeah.
go up, like, if you apply for NASA quality,
Right.
right, as an engineer, like, that's a potential.
Right.
But to go
Yeah.
straight up the ladder is unusual.
I guess that makes sense. I don't meet very many of our subcontractors that like I don't none of my coworkers used to work for a contractor that we employ. So I
Mhm,
guess that makes sense. But
yeah. But, yeah, I got
yeah.
all of next week off.
Oh yeah.
They do nothing but complain about my shifts, and I do nothing but try to give them good informed tie-ins and work very long hours
Yeah.
to help them prepare them. And so Friday, um, after a bunch of fiascos throughout the week of them giving me crap, they restricted me to one potential job on one skirt, one of the outskirts of the boosters, and um, the compound we use in order to secure this wiring was not cured yet,
Yeah.
and that restricted me from continuing the job.
Mhm.
And so I found that out about 5 p.m. and I told the technicians it might be cured by 10, but I won't be here to see it. And so I left. And so good luck. It probably wouldn't have
Dude,
even been cured by
I'm
10, to be honest,
so
but
man,
it
I
was like,
so wish we could work together because like the whole systems engineering job in my company is like they encourage you to like be anal and do shit right and do the meticulous job that takes like
yeah.
3 months to do because it's the right way to do
Well,
it.
the reason I
Dude,
even
fuck.
shut it out on Friday after 4 hours, I think, on my shift was
Right.
because I'd already gone over 40
Right.
by the time I hit Friday.
Right.
And, like, I'm relieving first shift guys at 3 p.m. who came in at 7:30 or 8
Right.
because they're tired.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm tired too,
Yeah.
and, like, I also don't wanna be on 0 deck in the heat.
Right. But if everyone's here and everyone's tired and no one wants to be here, but one person's putting an effort, dude,
Yeah,
this was such a thing in rowing because like you'd get a group of like we'd go out in a four, right? And it's the B string four. So we're not as fast as the other boat. They're gonna whip our ass all day. And so then like two of the guys would be like, well, if we're just gonna lose all day, then I'm not gonna try that hard, right? But they wouldn't tell anyone. But like after a few years, you can kind of tell when someone's phoning it in. Like they can have good form, but not be applying any pressure at all. And like, dude, I would get so fucking furious. And that's part of the reason that we won regionals in my senior year in the eight is because the whole year I knew I was in a boat with like some younger guys and I knew when they were phoning it in, I'd call them out on their shit like every fucking time they would let up. And we did well because of it. But like,
yeah.
if you're in a group and no one wants to be there or everyone is suffering, but one person is trying, everyone else has to
Yeah.
try. That's the rule. That's the way it's done.
It sucks because the senior guy who took over team lead for this coming week, he's actually a really good dude. And he actually does try and he puts in effort.
Yeah.
But no one else cares, and I tried to care, and I get nothing but backlash.
Hmm.
It's like, why are you doing alterations? Why couldn't you convince quality of this? Why could you do this? And I'm like, because it's clearly wrong.
Right.
Because you guys write crap paper and then you expect me to work it as an engineer who has never gone through a flow or a launch before,
Right.
and then lie and convince the quality that I'm right. I'm like,
Dude.
why didn't you just write better paper the first time? It took me an hour to fix it. Why can't you do it in the hour you're sitting around?
Yeah. Did I ever send you that Wall Street Journal podcast of the Boeing quality guy?
No.
He
Oh, wait, I did hear about this. Yeah,
lifelong Boeing employee,
yeah, yeah.
lived and breathed, good old boy from Tennessee, quality assurance engineer, right? So he's on flight line, like checking planes down before they go. And people like management, techs, engineers, everyone hated this guy because he was good at his job, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he would ever like let up on things. Like he would be like, hey, this paint color isn't exactly right, but it's close, so it's okay. Like he would let certain things go. But like big time decisions like this plane is not safe to fly stuff, he would call out and people would like bully the shit out of him until he would write the paper down to clear the plane to go. And sometimes he just wouldn't clear it at all. But it was this whole big thing. Anyways, he eventually ended up leading the company. I can't remember if he got fired. He was part of a lawsuit, right? And he was like his testimony was like the key testimony to get these planes grounded and like protect passengers, right? And his lawyer showed up to court the day he was supposed to speak, and he didn't show up. And so he drove to the hotel he knew he was staying in, and he went to the front desk and they went up to his room and they went in his room and he wasn't in there and they went downstairs and he saw his car, the tail end of his truck around the corner of the building. They went in, he had shot himself in his car that morning.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. But like, dude, I have so much like sympathy and empathy for quality engineers because
Yeah.
your job is difficult. Like you're saying, we need to halt this several billion-dollar project, which is going to cost tens or hundreds of millions to delay.
Yep. And there's a reason that I have a really good relationship with. I don't think there's a quality that I've worked with that I don't have a good relationship with.
Yeah.
And there are very few techs that I don't have a good relationship with. And the ones that like I don't have a good relationship with, I just have like a neutral working relationship with.
Right.
Like like outside of my engineering group, I don't think I have a bad relationship with anyone. And it's because like if I'm looking at the same piece of paper as you, and there's a very easy logical train of thought of why it's completely wrong, I'm not going to sit there and convince myself that it's right.
Right.
Like I'm going to stop wasting that time and then just fix it.
Right.
Because by the time we get through all of our babbling, I probably could have already created the alteration.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like, but not everyone sees it that way. But a lot of good folks on the program. I'm just really been really beat down by working with my engineering group, and so I'm very glad that I took the whole week off. The conference is 3.5 days, so it's half of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but then I took Friday off, and then I'll when I do my time card, like probably tonight, just to put in my PTO. I'll request Saturday, Sunday's PTO as well, so that they can't pull me in for like oh, well, your week technically starts on Saturday. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. My week starts on Monday.
Yeah.
So that I'll do, but I think it'll be it'll go one of two ways. I think regardless, it'll be a nice reset from work. It'll either put me in a position where I'm less frustrated going to work, or it'll put me in a position where I'm much more frustrated going to work because I enjoyed my week off so much.
Yeah.
So it'll be one of the two. We'll see what happens.
It's interesting you mentioned the pushback on alterations because the time you spend arguing about it could be the time that you make the alteration. I have recently seen from a management level that now I'm part of the engineer who's doing the tracking, but they want to track alterations. They want to track changes and
We
they want
track
to track
alterations too.
exactly. And what I'm now learning is they want as few alterations as possible. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make much sense. Because when you're like, the way that I do engineering is you take a shit on a piece of paper and then you polish it until it's good, which
Yeah.
means lots of alterations and it takes time,
Yeah.
right? But if you're period,
And if we could all predict the future of how jobs would go, none of us would be working a 9 to 5 and we'd be all billionaires.
right. And like, why resist the change to a requirement that needs to be changed, right? And so it's called requirement volatility. At least that's what they're calling it. And so now I'm tracking requirement volatility and like, there's a lot of it because we change a lot of requirements. Like each set has like fucking a bunch, right?
Yeah.
And so of course they're going to change, right? But I know that as soon as I finish this and then send it to the people who need to see it, they're probably going to be like, "Why are there so many changes?" And then I'll go, "Because it needs to be fucking changed."
Yeah.
What are you talking
It's
about?
like, have you ever worked on the floor before? Have you
Right.
written some of these requirements? It's
Yeah.
like, do you know the name of the game? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of it's stuff like that. It's the same thing.
Well, a lot of them are TBDs. Like I don't know. So like
Yeah.
a really great example is from Miklo's internal combustions class, right? Like you can't pick your bore until you figure out what your stroke is going to be, and you can't figure out what your stroke is going to be if you don't have your valve timing figured out. Like there's a bunch of different variables that conflict with one another, right?
Yeah.
So like displacement versus bore and stroke, right? You must pick one before you can pick the next, but that influences the decision on the first one. And so a lot of requirements are TBR or TBD because we haven't picked the displacement yet. And we haven't picked the displacement because we don't know what the manufacturing requirements are for bore and stroke. And we need the cooling guys to look at how close the cooling jacket is going to be to the piston head, like in the car example, right? And so that's why it's TBR or TBD. And it needs to be that way because if you pick a path now and you fuck up, then you're pigeonholing yourself into a system that isn't good.
Yep. Yeah. But that was essentially my life update. Cool. I went to see a movie with Sammy yesterday. The Conjuring.
Oh, the horror movies?
Yeah. Yeah. I hated
Is
it.
there a new one? Oh, you hated it?
I hated it.
You don't like horror movies?
There was one that came out yesterday.
Ooh.
So it's just released yesterday.
You
I
went to
hated
the
it.
midnight showing?
It was 8:45.
Okay, got it.
Uh,
So it wasn't like the first one.
no, no, no.
Okay, got it.
But it was the first day they were showing it.
Yeah.
Um, I hated it. Oh, like it was won't. Yeah, did not enjoy it. It was genuinely scary.
Good.
And I've watched Alien and Aliens and like
Yeah.
the other scary movies and stuff like that. The Shining, like other stuff like that. Like this freaked me out way more than those two.
What was scary about it? Was it jump scares or was it psychological?
I think I don't like stuff with like families and kids involved.
Mm.
And it was relatively graphic, and the producers did a really good job making like the demonic presence like look terrible. Like it was like super, super scary.
Cool, dude.
And so yeah, it was I would not see it again. It was stressed me out. But that is something I did for life this week. I enjoyed the time with Sammy, so that was good. Yeah, scary movie. If anyone was wondering, definitely scary.
Yeah, we watched when I went up to Wisconsin to visit Grace. Grace is friends with her. We were trying to figure out what kind of movies to watch, and so we might have watched all the Conjuring movies that were out at the time. I can't remember particularly what happened. I thought it was like the afternoon, so it was daylight outside, and I wasn't like really paying attention. So, and they were telling me backstory about the actors during the movie, which takes you out of it, so it wasn't as scary for me. But in real life, the Annabelle doll, like the Raggedy Ann doll, has like a new caretaker, and he just died of a heart attack on like his first week taking care of it or something like that. I've read that in the news recently, but
Got it.
I wonder if that it was there a doll in this movie? Was that
Oh
this one?
yeah, there was
What a
yeah,
crazy
and
part.
Annabelle
Hold
was
on.
like it was weaved into it in kind of an interesting way.
Got it.
Um, but yeah, the backstory was complex.
Well, it's like the fifth or sixth movie or something. Like there's a
Yeah.
bunch.
No, it was well done.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. I just don't like horror movies.
Of course, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Conjuring fans are as crazy as like Star Wars or like Marvel fans, where they're like, "Oh, well, that guy like 6 movies ago did the thing with someone else, but like that's not based on the comics or whatever." Like Conjuring fans are the same way, where they're deep in on the Annabelle stuff.
oh yeah, yeah. It was scary for sure,
Cool.
for sure. But yeah, saw that and worked at work. Oh, I guess I did an oil change on the Miata,
Nice,
but that's about it. What you got
sweet.
for life?
I had dinner with my parents last night, which was
Great.
nice. They took a trip to Alaska recently, and they caught salmon, wild salmon, and then I had it frozen and shipped back down here. And so that was very nice. It was good to spend some time with them. Um, I've been so busy with real estate and everything lately that I haven't gotten time to like talk to them, let alone sit down with them. So that was
Right.
nice. They're doing good. They asked me how you're doing, and I said, my dad was like, "How's Sandra like work? I haven't seen him recently." And I was like, "Oh, he fucking hates it. Yeah, the people he work with sucks, and the job that he does sucks. I'd like to get him over at Northrop." And my dad was like, "Oh," he was like, "How's your work going?" And I was like, "Sucks. I'm underpaid. I'm not fucking.
Yeah.
I'm crushing it, and like I'm not getting paid enough because of the hiring freezes. But supposedly those are getting freed up soon.
That's good.
I have my Q3 quarterly connection in like a week or two with my manager, and he's gonna give me the same shit as every year. He's gonna be like, "I think it's time for," and I'm gonna tell him, "Dude, hey, listen, where are my last 5 write-ups that have proven I exceed level 1 engineer requirements?" And the last one I wrote a year ago, why I exceed level 1 engineer requirements. Last year, I wrote why I exceed level 1 and level 2 requirements. And my most recent one I wrote for Q2, I wrote why I'm now starting to exceed most of the level 3 engineering requirements. So, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But in any case, it was good to see my parents. Um, I have spent a lot of my week, my business update, making social media content for Grace and I. And I made a joke offhand. Simba was like doing something stupid at home, the cat. And
Are you doing real estate content or cat content or
so real estate content. But Simba was doing something stupid at home, and I made a joke. I was like, he would probably have a more successful TikTok page than we would. And so Grace took that seriously and started a TikTok page for him, and it is doing a lot better than us. Yes, there's one. She like set the phone down, and he walked up to the phone and like sniffed it, and he took pictures, 3 identical pictures of his feet, like close up, blurry pictures of his feet. And then Grace put LMFAO's Party Rock Anthem in the background and posted that. And that's got like 1,300 views. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so stupid. But it is fun because the videos are easy to make, and I loved it. I love
Yeah.
them. So Eventually, my plan is to, when he gets a big following, I'm gonna take him to like an open house or a showing, and I'm gonna hold him in my arm, and I'm gonna be like, "My cat has more followers on social media than I do, so he's gonna show you the house today," and then we'll have him like walk around the house. But it's a fun thing. Grace's birthday is tomorrow, so we're gonna go out and do birthday stuff. I don't know.
I was the first person to wish her happy birthday,
You were, yeah,
like a month
ago.
and a half ago when I got mixed up.
Yeah. So I'm looking I'm looking forward to that. I also have a shorter week this week, which is nice.
Oh,
I'm swapping it for the off Friday, I guess. So it's
okay, yeah,
fine length week is normal.
yeah.
Breaking news in the Formula One world. This weekend was Monza, the Temple of Speed. Um, Max Verstappen made the executive decision for the whole Red Bull team to go with like a stupid low downforce setup, to the point that Yuki Tsunoda, the other driver, was like, "I'm not going to be able to perform with this because there's not enough downforce to get me through the like 3 corners there are at Monza." And Max was like, "We're sending it anyways." And he put it on pole with the fastest qualifying lap ever to be done at Monza, which also happens to be the fastest qualifying lap in all of Formula One history on any circuit in any car, which is
Wow.
nuts. Started on pole, one. So he has now the most pole positions for Red Bull, beating Sebastian Vettel with 44. Now Max has 45. And then he won the race from pole. There were no safety cars, there were no yellow flags, there were no red flags, and the race lasted an hour and 13 minutes, which beats the record set by Michael Schumacher for the fastest or shortest Formula One race from start to finish.
Wow.
So in one weekend, he got the fastest racing lap or qualifying lap ever in the history of Formula One, and the shortest race,
Wow.
and a win from pole. Super
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Low downforce setup. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monza's mostly straights, right? It's got like four
Yeah.
corners. Just to like, you need 4 corners to get like around the circuit. That's all it has.
Yeah. You got 4 corners in the way of the straights,
Yeah.
and then you can.
Yeah,
Ru-
but it was good to see him on top. He won by 20 seconds. So like it really, I texted Justin and I was like, "Are you watching right now?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I think I went to sleep and woke up in 2023 because Max is 20 seconds up the road. They're not showing him on the TV."
Yeah.
It was a nice breath of fresh air. It's his 66th win in Formula One,
Oh, cool.
which is nuts. So it was good to see. And it's a good indicator that they might be good in a few other races before the end of the year, which is
Hmm.
nice. Um, and then the last update, life update I have is an interesting fact that I learned on like doom scrolling TikTok on the toilet earlier this week. I have been teaching my TikTok to show me real estate news stuff because I'm starting to realize I don't have a good central source of information for real estate updates. So, like for example, the Fed is set to cut rates in September, right? Apparently, mortgage lenders will reduce mortgage rates ahead of a Federal Reserve rate drop. So they'll bump mortgage rates down a little bit, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Fed dropping rates will mean they'll drop mortgage rates even more. But it's an indicator that the Fed is going to, which means that mortgage rates could drop even more, right? So mortgage rates have been in like the 6.7, 6.8% range for a while, high sixes. And they were writing them at 6.4% in this past week. So like a slight dip down, right? And I saw like 4 TikToks on it, and I was like, "This is great news." And I was like, why did I not get this from any of the other news sources that I read? I can't find one." So I've been teaching TikTok to send me these algorithms, right? But there's still some business stuff related in there somewhere as well. One of the TikToks I saw was someone talking about a letter that Warren Buffett wrote in like a while ago. I can't remember what. The premise was this: people misunderstand insurance companies. The way that most people think insurance companies work is they collect money from you and me. And then when I have a medical issue, they use your money as well as my money to pay for my problem. And they need to collect more money from both of us to net positive, right? But that's not how they work. The way they actually work is they collect money from us, they invest that money, and they need to out invest the amount of money they have to pay in claims when I get hurt.
Mm,
That's how it works. And I was like, that's so interesting. And so I shared this with Grace because I was like, this makes more sense as to why insurance companies are actually viable businesses because
makes sense to why insurance companies suffer when the economy tanks too.
exactly, right? And I was like, man, okay, this is making more sense to me. And Grace was like, what's interesting is you could apply this to apartment complexes. And I was like, what are you talking about? When you get an apartment complex, you give them a security deposit usually in your first month, and then if when you leave your lease, everything is in good condition, you get that back. Otherwise, they take from that money to do the repairs, right? But similar to if you prepay rent, apartment complexes are allowed to invest your money, and you're entitled to a share of the growth
Mm,
of that investment by the end of your lease or by the end of the prepaid, right? Most apartment complexes don't do it because they don't care and they don't want to confuse their tenants, but it's a totally viable option. And so Grace was like, why don't, like, if apartment complexes are going to take your security deposit at the beginning of your lease anyways, most people sign a 12 or 15-month lease, why don't they invest it and then share the proceeds with their tenants, which incentivizes people to give, you could charge a larger security deposit up front because people know that they'll be making more money on the back end.
yeah.
Why don't they do that? Why don't they use that as a marketing tactic? And I was like, that's a good point. I don't know why they do. That's interesting. But I thought it was eye-opening to me on how insurance companies actually work. And it was an interesting application that Grace made to apartment complexes. But that's the end of my life update.
That'd be an interesting way to pull cash forward too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could increase the deposit amount
Yeah.
and brand it as a like a investment style
Yeah.
or whatever, like 401k,
Yeah.
whatever style investment thing. That's interesting.
I mean, do the math here. First, last, and security, right?
Yeah.
First is paid immediately. Last and security are put in an account that yet you redeem or use at the end of the year or end of your lease, right? But my rent is $1,700, or okay, that's with water. $1,620. Let's say security deposit's 500, so it's 1,600, or no,
You want to just keep it at 1500?
2,100.
Okay.
I'm an engineer. $2,100, right? So if you invest $2,100 for a full year in the S&P 500, let's say it's an average year and it does, like, I don't know, 4%, right? That's some significant money. It's what, a couple $100? It's not bad at all.
40
4%.
yeah, it's about $100.
Yeah, not bad at all, right? And that, if you end up having to use your security deposit, that extra interest could go toward paying whatever damages you have. But I thought it was a cool idea.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
What's your business update this week?
Oh, so I got stretch. I got a few things for business this week. Um, so last week I was working in through a conversion rate optimization test in the background. That's still running right now. It's early to tell. It seems to kind of fluctuate either way. So it seems that it's about kind of they're button heads right now in terms of their conversion rate, but I'm at about 150 orders on that test as of today. And I need to really be at like 500 orders to start to make an assessment. So I probably still got another month.
But this is supposed to be like a multi-month test,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I probably got another at least a month or so
Uh-huh.
until I have any verdict on what I think might be
So 100
paying
and,
off
150 orders on the
on the test.
test versus 150 orders on your standard, right?
So 150 orders combined between the test and standard.
Got it. So you can't compare between the two yet because you don't have enough data points.
Yeah, I need 500 gross
Got it.
for
I
the
see.
two tests combined. Um, I'm also interested in looking at some heat maps. Heat maps are essentially programs that will link to your site, and then when someone like scrolls or clicks, you can actually like watch a video replay of how essentially it's a video replay. It will show you like where they looked the longest, what they scrolled to, where they stopped, what they clicked on. Like
It's what your boss sees when you watch YouTube at work.
yeah, exactly. So they got I'm interested in heat maps. Neither of those things are the constraint in my business, so I'm not focused on them. Just letting the A/B test run in the background and see how it does.
Mhm.
But the heat maps is something I'd be interested in the future, especially if the legacy bundle that I have going right now seems to kind of dip under the standard. I'd be curious as to why, because I feel like it's the same product with added value.
Mhm.
And so that'd be something I want to look into. Additionally, this week I launched 15 new ads.
Mhm.
Those ads, well, actually, I launched 30 total. 15 of those got launched on Tuesday, and some of them got some spend and it looked a little bit promising. There was a lot of variation on hook. So I kept the body the same
Mhm.
and I just changed the hooks out. And I had
Is this within the same campaign as your wedding ad?
yes, like right now. So I'll get to that later. Um, so I can't remember how many hooks I had. I think I had 10 that I tried or 8 that I tried, something like that.
Okay.
With the same body on it. So those ran this week. 3 out of those 5 tests I cut yesterday. 2 of them I'm letting run a little bit more and see how they spend, because they have some trickle, and so I want to see if they'll pick up a little bit. Additionally to that, um, I also created 15 new advertisements that launched last night.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another batch of 15. Those are just getting spent today. There's some that are getting, so in those I had 5 different hooks, and I varied the bodies.
Okay.
And so I took my best hooks from the 2 that I left running, and I reused those with 3 different bodies each. And then I also created 3 new ad sets with 3 new hooks and each with 3 bodies
Okay.
that I reused. And those hooks I focused more in on proof.
Mhm.
So talking about like how hundreds of families have made lasting connection with the Sweet Ground Fund, or how Katie, Maria, and Bridget made lasting connection, blah 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 blah, right? And so, or um
So it's like
blah blah blah,
testimonial.
5-star reviews, right? But like hitting that testimonial and proof right off the bat, right at
Yeah.
the start. So that's what I tested there, just because I've been hearing a lot of stuff about the importance of proof.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about like how anyone can make claims, but very few of them can show proof. And so that's what I'm trying to front a little bit more to
Yeah.
see how it spends and does. So they're still spending. It's very early to tell. But I launched those last night. And I also, part of this kind of proof thing that I got going is when I talk to people about the products when I was down in Fort Lauderdale, and then when I like talking to people in general around about the product, there was a lot of people really liked seeing the reviews, and a lot of people really liked the custom cards. And so it's like you can record your own card
Got it.
on the product, right?
Yeah.
In addition to like songs and stories. So a lot of people really gravitated to those 2 things. And so part of what I did with the bodies that I iterated was I took the body I was using for the 5 tests that I launched on Tuesday, and I condensed it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then I took that and I moved I've been traditionally starting with like the cards, and then I talk about the DIY custom cards, and then I have a CTA.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, or the first version I had was cards and then some space and then the DIY and then the CTA. And then the next body I had was cards that are included, a DIY, a little bit of like how they use it, right, in conjunction with the proof at the start, and then a CTA.
Got it.
And then the last body I had was I flipped DIY and records,
Mhm.
and then started, each of the hooks is going to have an opportunity to work with that body. And then I have like a little, like a small thing, like a transitional thing, and then CTA.
Yeah.
And so I did that move where I pulled the DIY records to the start more and more on each of the 3 bodies.
Right.
And so I'm curious to see the breakdown of how those spend.
Right.
Essentially just trying to pull forward what most of the people enjoyed, because the goal is to get people hooked in to see the whole advertisement, right?
Right.
I might hook 40%, but if only 10% are watching to the end, then probably 80% or 70% are completely missing what I have on the back half.
Right.
Um,
My first thought with the testimonials and proof is that you're just jacking up the perceived likelihood of achievement variable
yes.
in the
Yeah.
value equation by showing other people that have used the product and like it.
Yeah.
Because if they liked it, then I could like it. And even if I don't like it, then it's my personal preference because I know the product works.
Mhm.
And so you increase the PLOA.
Yep.
And then
So-
I guess the DIY stuff improves the dream outcome because it's not just the product you thought it was, there's extra. And so then it exceeds or improves upon your dream outcome, right?
Yeah, and
Thought
so
that
I'm
part-
trying to pull that DIY forward, and then kind of have like the 90. So one of the bodies was pulling that DIY thing forward, and then having the 96 songs and stories kind of on the right after that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying out different things.
Yeah.
Um.
I think they're good moves.
Yeah. I think so. We'll see how they do.
Well, now you're inspiring me to use my um, Google reviews in ads myself. So
Yeah.
there's the PLOA.
Something that I did, I've done in the past, and I did some for this, was screenshots and then editing the screenshots to look a little bit cleaner in Canva.
Yeah.
Additionally, what I did yesterday, I'll show you the ad. But I had the ad and then I had like pictures of each person that I talked about kind of slide in with like a floral background,
Yeah.
right? So I thought that was kind of cute. We'll see how it does. It might be too small,
Mhm.
like as it piles up,
Mhm.
and too complex, right? Because I think a lot of the more simple ads tend to work a little bit better. So we'll kind of see how things go on that end. So right now I'm doing this kind of legacy style, lasting connection, timeless memories test. I also want to test the same side of it on a screen-free education, like pre-kindergarten prep style
Yeah.
of advertisement. And then I want to do like scenic style, almost B-roll aesthetic advertisements as well.
Mhm.
So like um gramophone with B-roll on the beach with like a nice like little, circle cloth or whatever, make it look pretty, right?
Yeah.
Doing that on the beach, doing that in the gardens at Florida Tech, other areas like that. I thought could be fun.
You
And
know,
I
another angle I hadn't thought of until you started mentioning the different ways of framing it is you could encourage moms to record, like, their kid's favorite lullaby or favorite story or something like that, and then the kid puts that on at bedtime rather than using their screen to record, like, play a recording at bedtime, if that's something parents do. I don't have kids. But, like, I used to listen to classical music when I would go to sleep, and I had a CD player that I would put the CD in, and so then I associate the function of putting the CD in the CD player with going to bed, whereas in later years, I would get an iPod, one of the shuffles, you remember those?
Mhm.
Or what was the long skinny
Nano.
the Nano.
I have
I had a speaker dock that I would put the Nano on, and I would play music on that and go to
mhm.
sleep. But I could really easily I could see that evolving into today. The kid puts a lullaby on the iPad, and they touch a screen right before they go to bed, but you could leverage the no screens thing with parents by saying, "Record your voice on this physical thing that they touch, no
Yeah,
screens."
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point. I definitely do want some more footage of the custom cards.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I have some ideas. I'm trying to. It sucks because there's a lot of different stuff I want to try and test and do, and like at the end of the time, or at the end of the day, I'm just worried that like it takes time to make these things happen.
Yeah.
And so there's like it's just a constant like reiterate, 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 ideate, ideate, reiterate, right? And so
Right.
I do need more DIY footage though
Mhm.
because I don't have a lot. Um,
We do know a mutual person though, who has a young kid that could do a lot of these things. If you wanted to, like, if you had an idea and you're like, "I don't know if this works and I don't wanna pay out the nose to, an
yeah.
online creator to record it," you could probably get this person that we know,
Mhm.
to film something, like, within a few days.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works.
Yeah. That's stuff. So thank you. I'll think about that and
Mhm.
see how I can work it in. But one of the other things I'm kind of leaning more a little bit more towards with this proof style of polling is the proof that I put. I tried to ensure that the photos I didn't use stock review photos like
Mhm.
from like not stock review photos, but like the reviews from my site. I didn't copy and paste those. I actually put in pictures of the people using them and then verbally it's kind of like a review, like the review is conveyed through the audio,
Mhm.
right? But I'm trying to use those photos as the screenshots from later on in the ad
Mhm.
when that photo is actually happening, and then linking that to the customer product page so that after they click the ad, when they click on the link and then they go to the site, they see the same photos reflected on the site as well.
Right.
So kind of like connecting connecting that customer journey there.
Yeah.
What?
I spaced out. I had an idea.
Uh,
Now you have me in ideation mode,
yeah.
right? Of like thinking of new ideas. Do you remember when we would get in the rooms at Florida Tech with the whiteboards and then just like brain dump a bunch of shit? That's happening right now. I have a vision of it's like a think of like a 15 or 16-year-old, like the age when like kids start to hate their parents and grandparents, right? And they start to be real shits. You have them sitting in an interview chair, um, and you're like, "How close are you with your grandparents?" And you've got like one on either side, and one of them's like, "Oh, we don't get along really well, like kind of grew apart," and then the other one's like, "Oh, I love my grandma. We spent a ton of time together." And then you're like, "What do you think? caused that. And then the kid is like, I don't know, she's just old and I don't understand her. And then the other kid is like, oh, we used to do a lot of like fun activities growing up and it really made a difference, right? And then you spin that into the gramophone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd have to pay actors and like film all this shit, but it's just what hit my brain. What did
No,
you
yeah, that's
say?
good. Essentially, I'm trying to connect customer journeys so that the photos I present for reviews, as well as the footage in the advertisement, is connected and the same as the like little videos and images you see on the product page. And
Are they
so that,
different now?
well, occasionally there will be a photo or video that might not be on that. I try to connect the advertisement to the product page as best I can,
Mhm.
but sometimes I'm forced to use footage in the advertisements that I might not necessarily have photos or GIFs for in the product page.
Got it.
So I've just been trying to connect those dots a little bit more and connect that customer journey together.
Okay.
Um, just because I see a lot of people talk about the importance of customer journey and connection,
Yeah.
and that's something that when I was down in Fort Lauderdale, the person I discussed advertising with was like very, very set on.
Right.
And so that's something I've been trying to integrate kind of passively just through
Yeah.
how I'm doing stuff now, but incorporating that in kind of a fluid way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's tough in that business. I can see an easy application in real estate because a lot of people don't really know the nuts and bolts of how a real estate transaction happens. So there's a lot you can have total control over the customer journey by informing them as the expert. Hey, here's step 1 through 5. Here's what to expect in each step. We've got pieces of paper like pamphlets that
yeah,
walk you through it. So it's easy to inform and then control that journey, but it's tough when you're marketing to someone you haven't spoken to and are buying a product, right?
yes, yes.
Like a physical item.
Yeah, and so that kind of actually gets into a little bit of the testing stuff that I'm going to discuss in a little bit. I do have a couple more small bullet points as well to do with that customer journey.
Okay.
But I've also the email marketing system is running and it works properly for like order confirmation on the legacy bundle, as well as sending them the actual PDF, as well as like abandoned checkout emails and stuff like that. It's working properly. So that's
So
good.
what system are you using to automate those emails? Is it
Clavio.
Klaviyo?
Yeah.
Is that AI? No, it's
It
Claude.
has AI incorporated into it, but it's
Got it.
not an like
Got it.
a strictly AI platform.
Yeah, something I heard something recently that was talking about in real estate in particular, emails are one of the best ways that you can get conversions because finding someone's email is not readily available. They have to give it to you, and if they give it to you, that means that they are interested in buying a home, even if it's not from you. So when you send emails out to people, there's a good chance that they will be respondent to it, right?
Yeah.
So email return rates in real estate, I have heard are like 40%, but I haven't used an email automation system yet,
Well,
but I'm
I
interested.
I've heard from several people actually that email is one of the highest leverage advertising platforms that you can do.
Exactly.
From Hermosia, I've heard like 35 to 45 ROAS or ROI, 35x, right? So a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's not much spend to get the
Yeah, right,
yeah,
exactly, and it's a relatively high conversion.
right.
I've heard from other people about that. From my mentor, is he? I think he said he has a 30x
That's
return
crazy. Yeah.
just on email.
It's
Uh,
something that I'm curious about learning, which is why I asked about Klaviyo.
yeah, so he has a agency do it for him, but it's all through Klaviyo as well.
Right. Is that
Uh,
automated entirely now?
well, you build the email flows and the campaigns, but then the actual sending of the email and how the customer goes through the email process is all automated.
Got it.
Right? So I'll send out an email with like a discount code link, and that might be a flow. And then if they don't respond to that in a day or purchase anything in a day, a different email will go out with like maybe a different coupon code for a different product or whatever, right?
So you
Whatever you
send
want to do.
so you write and send the email through a
I
distribution
just
system you
write
have.
the email and then I build a flow that's automated.
Got it.
And
And
so
it keeps
anytime a customer abandons a checkout,
uh-huh.
Klaviyo sees that like event through API or through your Pixel, essentially your Facebook like notification pinger,
Right.
right? And so we'll take that and go, okay, this customer's at this stage, which matches this flow that Sander built in his email marketing. I'm going to run this flow.
Got
And
it.
so then it just sends out the emails, and then there's like added bullets or like added frames that you can put in of like, hey, and then you have like a specific code you insert for the customer name. And so it'll
Right.
autofill the customer name before it sends out the email,
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
But it's all automated. After you set it up, you just let it run in the background.
Sweet, dude.
Um, but that's running. And then at the same time, I synced audiences from Klaviyo to my Facebook. And so those are updating live. So anytime someone goes through a specific part of the email flow, it'll update that into a specific audience within Facebook. And that's just for a data gathering. Like I'm just collecting that right now because I haven't been running it for very long.
Gotcha.
Um, but the customer journey thing, as well as the spend stuff, I did a bunch of digging onto it this week in terms of frameworks for running advertisements. Um, and I think that it it is true that winners will win, but I feel strongly at this point that for sure, 100%, you cannot get reasonable data off of ads that spend less than like 10 to 20% of your budget. I
Right.
feel very strongly about that. Um, I feel relatively strongly about the fact that because of that, testing advertisements within the same umbrella campaign as new ad sets is not an effective strategy to get feedback.
Right.
But the data side of things, I am 100% convinced because I did some ABO testing this week, and I took one of my ad sets that I'd actually spent more. It spent like 5 or 8% of the total budget. And I took that ad set and I essentially forced it to spend by setting a minimum amount for that ad set that it would have to spend in a day.
Okay.
A completely different advertisement got all the spend. So the ad that was taking up that like 5 to 8%
Hmm.
for this whole time, that ad got half of what a completely different ad in that ad set almost took completely. And so I
Interesting.
don't know what to make of that initially, but what that tells me is that Facebook, when you input an ad set, it's already optimized for the winner.
Hmm.
And so when you put in a new ad set, it's defending that winner right off the get go because it doesn't trust the new ads.
Right.
And when it defends that, it says, how can I best utilize the other ad sets and ads in order to defend and promote the winner? This is likely part of the reason why when I put more ad sets out, my overall campaign performance goes up.
Right.
It because Facebook is utilizing the other ads in that campaign in order to boost the winner because its winner is optimized, its winner is priority. Now, undeniably, there are cases when you put in an ad set with an ad, and that ad will end up outspending the winner and it will become your new winner.
Right.
That's, you know, I've seen that enough times to believe that that's the case. But what I don't believe is that putting ad sets in that is an effective way to get data on those ad sets if they get very little spend.
Hmm.
And so I believe this like mentality of like analyze why losers lose is largely bullshit
Hmm.
because you really don't know why they lost for multiple reasons. You don't know what actually is the best ad because spend has clearly, I've seen it clearly change and I've seen this too when I move an ad set out of that umbrella campaign and put it in its own test campaign. The ads will structure themselves in a completely different way in terms of how they spend.
Right.
And that's likely because when you move them separately or you force spend on them, now you're telling Facebook, hey, I want this ad set to be scalable. How do you make it scalable?
Hmm.
Right. And that's very different from saying, hey, Facebook, I added these ads in here. How do you use these ads to make the winner win more?
Right.
That's a very different framework. And so, um, that process of analyzing why losers lose, I think is largely bullshit because you don't actually know if it's a loser or not. You don't know because it didn't get enough spent. You don't know because you don't have enough data on it. You don't know because when you actually put that in a scaling position, when it for spend on it, you don't know how it's going to spend.
Right.
And therefore you can't actually assess what ads are less scalable or more scalable.
Right.
So that I feel very strongly about.
Let me give you a real world application of this so that future Mason understands, or anybody watching. In Formula One this season, there are like 8 rookies or something like that. There's a bunch of new drivers to Formula One, right? They're all young guys.
Yeah.
One of them, his name is Isaac Hadjar. He's French, right?
Okay.
Have I ever shown you the video of the F2 guys at Monaco? There's a car going slowly through the tunnel. and a car comes up behind
Oh,
him,
yes.
last second darts out of the way, right? The guy who did the avoiding action is Isaac Hadjar, right?
Okay.
Came into Formula One, like wide-eyed. Everyone kind of like makes fun of him. He's not like a dominant, like big dick energy force, right? He's
Yeah.
kind of like a younger, more open to new things kind of guy, right? First ever race, it's rainy, it's slippery. He crashes on the formation lap before he even gets out in his first race of the season, right? And he's driving for the second Red Bull team, Racing Bulls, right? Similarly, Liam Lawson had a shit first 2 races in the second seat for Red Bull, and Red Bull just kicked him out and replaced him with someone else, right? So Liam Lawson, first 2 races were bad. Isaac Hadjar, his first race he didn't even do because he crashed out on the formation lap, right? They removed Liam Lawson almost immediately, and they left Isaac Hadjar in there, right? Last weekend I can't remember where they were racing, the Netherlands, Isaac Hadjar got a podium, which is wild because there weren't a ton of retirements. It wasn't a crazy raining race. He literally qualified well and held back George Russell in a Mercedes, who is like a
Wow.
serial podium finisher, to legitimately get a podium, which is nuts, right? But they left him in the car and they collected more data points, and then it eventually paid off. Liam Lawson is now driving in the other RB next to him. He didn't have hardly any time to do well at Red Bull. They fucking killed his confidence. Now he's in Racing Bulls halfway through the season. He doesn't fucking know what's going on, so he's underperforming there too. But it's a good real world application of the same stuff here, which is if you don't give something enough time to know if it's a winner or a loser, you could be missing out on something great. If
Yeah.
they got rid of Isaac Hadjar after his first race where he crashed on the formation lap, they wouldn't have a podium this season.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what I've been running into. And so with these new ads I put out there, I have a degree of confidence that between the 15 I put out on Tuesday and the 15 I put out last night,
Yeah.
out of those 30 ads, I believe that there's at least one, at least within those, that can convert some sales relatively well when given some spend in order to do so.
Okay.
Just because I've been doing this for about 6 months, just in this niche, just in this business.
Mhm.
And I very strongly don't feel as though the ads that I've been creating more recently are so bad that they are quite literally 99% worse than my winner.
Hmm.
Because they're getting 1% of the spend.
Right.
And so I feel very confident that they're not 99% worse.
Right.
Now, are they on par or better than the winner? I don't know. But what I do know from going through this process is that the campaign optimizes for the winner. And the more days that winner sits in that campaign, the more it optimizes.
Right.
And so what I saw from the ad agency that I've been kind of like taking a lot of my info from is that they'll spend a lot of time getting one winner to beat out a winner that's already in a campaign. Once they hit that winner, they'll get winner, 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 like week to week, like back
Huh.
to back.
Once
And
they get one to break through, then
once
it
they get
starts
one to
happening
break
more.
through, they can get like
Huh.
multiple to break it.
Huh.
And the reason I believe that's the case is because as soon as you break it, you break Facebook's 6-month or 12-month span of optimization on that one winner. And now you have a winner that outperforms it, but it only has a week of optimization. And so Facebook is much more open to pulling in something else.
But that means you have to have an ad that is so
So
much better than your current winner. Not even just so good, because you can have a really good ad as your winning ad, but now you need an unbelievably, incredibly, almost false, like super ad to break that one, to break
Right.
that mold. Which means that even if you have a decent ad or a good ad, you can continue to make ads for like a year like your mentor and still not break through to the next one because you don't have an ad that's 5 times as good as your current winner.
Yeah, yeah. So that can definitely be the case, and that's kind of what I've been leaning towards and seeing. Um, because I what really made me question this was I got some ads. I very frequently I get an ad that gets a very low cost per click in comparison. It'll be like 50% of the cost per click of my winning ad, but the cost to reach 1,000 potential customers is like double.
Hmm.
And so that started to get me to think. I was like, okay, Hormozy talks a lot about how cost to reach 1,000 customers in niches is relatively consistent. And I have not seen that consistency at all. Like my winner cost $27 to reach 1,000 potential customers. A lot of the ads that get a lower cost per click cost like $70, $90 to reach 1,000 customers. Like way higher. Not like 50% higher, not even like 100% higher. Like
Right.
300%
But
higher.
is that because Facebook isn't doing a good job optimizing them because it wants to defend the winning ad in that context?
Exactly. And so that's what I looked into this week
Right.
was why is this the case? Why can I get an ad that spends $3 and I'll get 6 clicks on it at 50 cents a click and my winner is $1.20 a click, but my CPM is through the roof? Or even this is what really hit me. I had an ad where the CPM was actually within
CPM.
it costs to reach 1,000 customers.
What
Sorry.
is the acronym?
It's cost per milli, but milli is identified as like 1,000.
Nope. Not in the metric system.
I swear it's super stupid. That is actually the acronym, and I looked it up because I thought it was equally dumb. Cost per milli.
Okay.
Or
Glad I asked.
yeah.
'Cause the whole time I would have been
I don't know why. I don't know why they did that. Because in my mind, it immediately goes cost per million.
right. Well, I was trying to figure out cost per monies, and then I was like, well, that
No,
makes sense.
it's literally cost
Interesting.
per milli, and milli's identified as 1,000.
All right. Fucking glad I asked because
Say
I'm
before-
quite really not of context clue that together. But okay,
Yeah.
continue.
And so what really hit me was I had a few ads where the cost per click was low and the cost to reach 1,000 customers was low, and they were getting some spend, like $5 a day, $8 a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's enough spend to at least start getting a ballpark.
Right.
And so I'm like, if the cost per click is really low, if the cost to reach 1,000 customers is within 50% of what it is, my hook rate is double, my hold rate is double, my CTR, my click through rate is double.
Right.
All these metrics are better. Why is Facebook not spending even just 10% on this ad?
Right.
It's spending 3%, 4% on this. Why? Like, it was really confusing to me. And I was like, I was looking at these metrics and I was like, 80%, 80 cents of your advertising dollars in the hook. My hooks, by and large, for the ads I've put out, have killed far beyond the hook that I have for my winning. Like
Right.
double what my
Right.
winning. My winning ad hooks at like 24%, which is shit.
Right. Compared to your other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. My other ones, I'll have ads where my hook rate is 47%. I had an ad the other day, my hook rate was over 50.
It's great.
And it had decent spend on it. Like that's like a decent, it has to be at least a decent hook.
Right.
Even
Better
at
than
low spend
99% worse. Right.
It's gotta be at least decent, right?
Yeah.
And so then I started thinking back, okay, I had some ads that I made that were like genuinely shit, but they were really simple, like really simple. But like the voiceover was crap, the hook was mid, right? And the footage in it was okay, but it got more spend. And I was like, well, the only reason I made these shit ads was because they were really similar to the shit ad that I have that's winning.
Right.
And so like then part of me is like, oh, okay, is it like actually shit or do I just think it's shit, right? That's part of me. But I'm like, when I look back on those ads, I'm like, no, these are actually trash. Like,
So
these are actually junk. And then I realized I'm like, it's optimized for the winner, and so it's going to spend on things that are similar to the winner.
also shit.
And this is where my real click, like the real mental click came in, is I listened to, like, not kidding you, probably 10 hours or probably more actually, probably 10 or 15 hours worth of content about how different people run ads. From, people who have managed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of ads, not just like Joe Schmo who's starting out, right? These are real people.
Right.
And so then one of the guys in one of the videos said Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that shares, like shares on your ad or post, are the primary driver for what Facebook identifies as a winner. And I was like, oh, I have 300 shares on my winner because it's been spending $100, $200, $300, $400 a day
It's a positive
for the
feedback rate.
past 6 months.
Right.
How is an ad that's getting $10 a week gonna have any compelling amount of shares on it?
Right.
And so then I really realized, I was like, oh, That's why the ABO structure, when I forced spend on this ad set, completely changed the ads that got spent.
Right.
Because now it was trying to cater towards scale, right? That's where I got that idea from. That's why people run separate campaigns for testing. That's why people create a competitive environment for testing, but don't include a winner, because the winner will optimize to that test campaign, and then you can't get good data or identify what's good and what's not so good on those test runs. And then sort of all clicked together, and I was like, if Facebook is using shares as like that's from Mark Zuckerberg's word, right? And there's a lot of people online who disagree about the engagement thing. They're like, engagement doesn't matter, blah 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 blah. I agree and disagree with that. I don't think that forcing engagement by running a separate engagement campaign onto an advertisement will necessarily make it a better ad. I don't think that's the case. But I do think that if you have 200 positive comments on a post with 500 shares and 10,000 likes, people are more apt to look at that ad, especially an older audience that loves Facebook groups, which is exactly who I'm targeting. And so I was looking at that stuff, and I realized that I really have to push spend onto the advertisements, because they're not going to get the shares, they're not going to get the likes, they're not going to get the engagement. And then something that really hit me too was so in Facebook you have like there's like a little green circle, and then it says I think it says active, learned, or sorry, active, learning, or learning limited. And learning limited is when you run the ad for a certain amount of time, but it doesn't get enough shares or engagement in order to optimize.
Mm.
And I started seeing that because some of my tests I started running for like more than a week to try and get more spend on them. And I started seeing that learning limited thing come up. And I was like,
not getting enough engagement.
It's not getting enough spend to actually assess.
Right.
In Facebook, I started digging into like the Facebook notifications that I had and like looking at, and I like a lot of the notifications are bullshit, but some of them are like combine ad sets in order to help blah 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 optimize, right? And I was like, okay, like Facebook sees that it's not getting enough spend, and Facebook is telling me that they're learning limited after a certain after 2 weeks essentially, and there's all these factors at play. It's like I have to find a better way to test.
This is that meme where the guy turns around and shoots Hannibal, and then he goes, "Why would someone else do that?" It's that Facebook is killing your ad that could compete with the winner and be like, "It's not as good as the winner." It's like, well, you're not giving it a shot.
Right.
So
exactly.
my question, and this might be where you're going, but is the solution not to open a new campaign and run new ads and then compare the results to your winner from the other campaign?
That is one of the solutions.
Okay.
One of the solutions is to have a completely separate campaign where you have ad sets in there and you let Facebook optimize.
Yeah.
Another option is to have a separate campaign with ad sets in it that are then ABO forced to spend at a minimum of $10. Let's say I have 5 ad sets in there with a testing campaign voted at $100. I force $10 to spend on each of those. So I'm forcing $50 in total, and then I'm letting Facebook do what it wants with the other 50.
Got it.
Right?
So
like that could be
it can throw all that extra money into the winning ad if it wants, but you're guaranteeing you get a minimum amount of data for the rest of the ad.
Exactly. And I can do that in a separate test campaign, or I can do that in the winning campaign that I have right now, or the umbrella campaign.
Why would you not do it in the winning campaign to try to topple that winning ad? Because
my goal is not to top the winning ad. My goal is to find another winning ad. I don't want to break something that's working.
So new campaign.
I am more than happy to let that winning ad continue to work.
Isn't it fucking wild that Facebook is like, there is only one and that is it. Everything else is like, I'm not going to give it anything.
And there's definitely people out there that can create an ad that's so much better that it will win over that. And I could probably get there at some point, but my question, all I'm trying to do right now is just to get something that can help that winning ad effectively.
Right. So within the campaign, it'll fuck with all the ad sets, but outside of the campaign, the two campaigns are isolated, right? So I wonder if this campaign that you're running with your winning ad right now, I wonder if you can have like 5 different campaigns. One of them is the Thunderdome campaign, where you put new shit in and give it minimum spend and see what comes out on top. And then you take the winner, build its own campaign, and then let it run with no competition, because you know it works, so it'll start working there in its own campaign without competition. And then you just continually throw shit in your sandbox in the Thunderdome.
That's exactly what you do. So you leave that winning campaign alone.
Right.
and then you have your sandbox down below where you throw stuff in it. You let Facebook spend on that stuff, either with a minimum amount that you want it to hit each ad set, or you just let Facebook go for it, right? And then you have that down there, and then you graduate ads that perform and spend the best and have the most scalability into the winner. And
Winner ad set?
the winner campaign. So you eventually do put them in there, but you only put them in there once you see scalability in the test, once they have shares on them, once they have engagement on them, once Facebook understands that this is actually a potential good ad, and then you put it in the winning campaign that you have with the winner ad.
So you have a winning campaign with your winning ad right now, and then you have your test campaign with the
I don't have it yet because I haven't done it yet. But
the
yes, I haven't actually created it yet, but that is the
campaign.
plan.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
So you have one campaign right now that's serving as your test, but you have a winner and you've been trying to get better at the winner.
Yeah.
So now you're going to put the winner in its own campaign.
I'm not going to move the winner at all. I'm actually going to create a new campaign for testing and pull all my testing over there. I'm not going to touch anything in the campaign that's working right now because it's making me money right now, and I don't want to touch anything.
Yeah, I got it.
I just don't.
It might even be better to start from scratch, anyways, because then you don't have the pre-bias influence of I'm going to give more money to the winner, even though I have to make a minimum spend on the other ads.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is probably good.
So that's what I'm gonna do.
Cool.
I'll probably start that tonight, maybe. But I was looking at what I think I'm gonna do, based on all the research I've done, is in that test campaign, I am going to force a minimum of $10 on each ad set, and then I'm going to create that competitive environment for Facebook and essentially, if it's a $100 campaign budget, I'll have 5 ad sets in there with $10 assigned to them each, and then Facebook can have the freedom of the other half of the money in order to allocate it how it wishes.
Cool.
That's what I think I'm going to do. Or I'm going to do like a $150 test campaign budget with still $10 and give Facebook 2/3 of the total budget to play with. I'm going to kind of play around with it. But I can play around in that test campaign because it's not affecting my winner, right?
Right. It's not going to fuck up your, if you are making or losing money every month.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So that's kind of the conclusion that I came to out of a lot of research, a lot of digging into this, trying to understand how Facebook spends on advertisement, how it defends advertisements.
Right.
Looking into other people talking about CPM costs, looking into how other people test, what problems other people have ran into, how they scale their campaigns, right? Like, it started to come together as a puzzle piece. And I think that there are a lot of different systems that can work. I think at the end of the day, given enough time and given a high enough overall budget, you can make anything work, right? I think that's true, and there's undeniable proof that the umbrella strategy that I currently have works.
Right.
But as of right now, I'm trying to get an ad that will support my winner, and I have not. After I counted the number of ads I've made thus far, it's 194.
It's a lot of ads.
Out of those ads, I haven't gotten one that's gotten more than 10% of the total campaign spend. And that 10% I got was on one of the ads for one day. And then after that, it completely tanked down.
Well, then that makes you think, do you even have to make more ads? Or when you make your test campaign, can you just run through all the ads the 190 free ads that
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm not going to duplicate. So there's something called a hard duplicate and a copy.
Okay.
They're different because Facebook makes sense. And so the hard duplicate takes the data from the ad and it transfers all of it together. A soft copy is essentially just taking the ad, creating a new ad, and just kind of restarting it that way.
No optimization.
No optimization on it, no nothing. I'm going to do that because my engagement is so low on all of my tests that it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And I also don't want to hard duplicate because I don't want any of the info that it gathered from the original campaign to be attached when I go to the test campaign. I want a clean slate, fresh start on those creatives.
Now, when you find a winner in your test campaign, you could hard duplicate that into its own winning campaign. Got it.
Yeah, and so I'll hard duplicate that. What I'll do is I'll actually hard duplicate it into the ad campaign that my current winner's at. But when I hard duplicate, it already has spend on it. It already has engagement. It already has shares. It already has optimization. It already has all the things that can at least give it some baseline to compete with the winner
Right.
and work with the winner, right?
Right.
Because right now nothing is working with the winner by and large, right?
Right.
Outside of like a
Well, because
collective of
nothing
a
has a
ton
head
of ads,
Right. Yeah.
right? That just like overall drive performance, because Facebook occasionally will use this for retargeting or this for cold outreach, and it'll kind of do
Right.
this. But like, it's not seeking to outperform the winner.
Yeah. It's a known variable versus an unknown variable, and it will always prefer the known variable. But if you have two known
Or like who
variables,
have like a super killer,
right, exactly.
right? But
But it's
I'm not a professional advertiser. I haven't been doing this for 20 years. I have made 200 ads. I feel as though one of them is at least comparable.
yeah.
It's like, and so that's what my plan is for this week. There are a lot of digging. I'll see how it goes, see how it works.
I think it's a good plan.
It at least gives me, and something else too is that it allows me, what I've done this week through my testing and through my analysis is I've focused on figuring out why my better performing ads perform rather than focusing too much on why my losers don't perform. Because it's much harder, I've found, to understand why a loser doesn't perform. It takes a lot of time. And if I have ads that are doing better, why not just focus on what's working there and do more of that?
Right.
And so that's kind of the philosophy that I've gone to. And that has also come from listening to the 85 minutes, the Hermosi advertising thing on YouTube. He mentions that. And also looking at the playbooks mentions the same thing again.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I'm pulling that idea from. But yeah, I went over all the testing campaign stuff. Another thing I didn't mention is that winning ad has a certain audience is optimized for. And I asked a lot of tough questions this week for my mentor. And I was like, hey, this winning ad for the past 6 months has optimized to a certain audience with a certain set of benefits and a certain set of desires. What gives me confidence that if I put out an ad that's really, really good, that's targeted towards a different audience with a different set of benefits and desires, Facebook will actually identify those benefits and desires and target it properly?
Right.
And essentially the answer was trust Facebook, which didn't work well for me.
Right.
Because if it's optimized around that winning ad, now not only do I have to create an ad that is a super winner in comparison to that will outspend it after 6 months of optimization, that is so much better in every way, I also have to get over the hump that I need to completely change Facebook's targeting for that campaign.
Right.
So there's a bunch of hurdles to jump over if you're running this one campaign strategy. And so that's why I was like, okay, what I'll do is I'm just going to have, what my plan is I'm going to have a test campaign for a batch of creatives that are targeted towards grandmothers who want lasting connection. That's my lasting connection test campaign.
Right.
Then if another week I decide to run mothers that are looking for screen-free educational toys, that's not the same campaign. I want a new campaign. Because if I'm trying to get over this hump of optimization, it's not going to help to just have one test campaign. Because then what's going to happen after that test campaign is it's going to optimize to a certain audience type and certain set of desires and benefits.
Right.
Right. And if I want to test something different or new, then it could very well not catch that.
Right.
And to the people who contradict that, I would say, well, your current winning campaign is optimized to this target audience desire and set of benefits, right? And if that's not the audience, if that's not the target audience, the set of benefits and the set of desires that you want to have in that campaign for the all of time until the end of your business, then why would you continue running the same thing in that same campaign?
Right.
Right. And so that's kind of what I'm going after. And obviously this will be a slightly longer process because I'll have multiple different test campaigns that I'll run at different times. But over time, if I do this strategically, I'll have test campaigns that are specifically optimized for lasting connection. I'll have test campaigns that's specifically optimized for educational toys that moms are interested in, right? I'll have these optimized campaigns, but to ask one campaign to automatically re-optimize itself based on this algorithm that can just predict the future of my advertising, like, I don't personally have confidence in that. Right. I don't see a lot of people online have confidence in that, right? In this one umbrella campaign strategy, not a lot of it. There are some people, but by and large. And then on top of that, the person that I talked to in Fort Lauderdale who has 20 years of experience in this, and Alex Hermosi, who also made all his money in advertising, also don't have confidence in that strategy. So
it doesn't make sense.
How am I so stupid as to just ignore every other voice and listen to one voice when I have the easy opportunity to just try one thing different, right? Like this isn't like me completely revamping my business and everything in it. This is just like me trying one thing differently
Right.
over 6 months of trying the same thing and being like, okay,
Well,
now it's time for a slight iteration to see if this can help me.
and the thing is, this isn't a subjective. Customers prefer X to Z in my business, but they prefer something else in a different business. It's not a subjective thing. It's a data analysis perspective. And
Yeah.
most people aren't engineers who are doing this, right? And we have a data analysis background, which
Yeah.
makes more sense. The people that you talk to in the drop shipping stores that do the trust the Facebook method, how many of them have the graphs that you do and like do the amount of analysis and stuff like that? And how
I
many
haven't
and
seen anyone who has like the off the get-go analysis and data perspective on this that I have.
right.
I see a lot of people who don't even have data and metrics.
Right. And so then, of course, those people are going to take the method of just trust Facebook because it makes enough money that I can just continue to trust
Right.
Facebook. But if you, A, aren't making enough money, or B, want to get better at it, not by chance, but by function, then it makes more sense to change your approach.
Yeah, yeah. And also what was interesting to me was the part of the reason I'm not duplicating these ads as a hard duplicate and I'm doing a soft copy is that I've tried hard duplicate from the campaign, from an ad set into a new campaign to see how it spends. The CPMs remain really, really high, and even if the CPC is low, right?
Mm.
And so they still kind of remain at whatever metrics Facebook analyzed to them initially.
So you want a
I want to eliminate that as a variable
new first
and
person,
say,
right?
hey, fresh start, figure it out,
Hmm.
right? That's why I want to do that because I've heard a lot of people say, hey, a lot of people in the umbrella strategy will say, we've tried 100 times to duplicate an ad set from the umbrella that we thought was going to do really good and duplicate into a separate campaign and the spend is and the performance is shit.
Right.
And I was like, fair point. You're hard duplicating and you're taking right
Bias to data.
biased data. And Facebook, right? Like Facebook's relatively smart. It's good at what it does, right? And I think it's smart enough to understand that if it sees you move an ad set from your umbrella campaign into a new ad set and the CPMs drop really, really low, right? Then that kind of pulls your trust out of the algorithm, right?
Right.
And so I think there's a balance of like Facebook is kind of working around the framework it initially develops.
Yeah.
And so you gotta give Facebook the space to give a trusted test to the framework first.
Right.
And so that's kind of my theory. And I've heard a lot of people say if you pull an ad set out of the umbrella into a new campaign, it doesn't perform. But I have heard people say if you have a test campaign and then you pull that ad from the test campaign into your umbrella, it can perform.
Mm.
And so that transition I see as a possibility. And that transition I see as differently because initially when you have an umbrella campaign and then you pull it out, you have this poor spend, poor CPM metrics that are all assigned to this kind of as a half retargeting ad. And then you're pulling that same data into a campaign that's not a retargeting campaign, it's a scaling test campaign, and you're asking it to do something completely different. Of course, it's going to perform poorly. But if you start it in a test scaling style campaign, and then you let it spend and optimize and perform, if you pull that kind of performance into an umbrella,
Once it's performed.
now you give it the juice, right?
Right.
And so I see that as a different transition.
Well, and then I even wonder when you have a winning ad in your test campaign and you move it over to the winner campaign, you might have a winning ad for grandmas and then a winning ad for aunts and then a winning ad from moms. And if you put those all in the same ad campaign of winners, those will conflict with each other, even though they have different demographics that they're targeting, different audience groups, right?
Yeah.
So even then, it might be good to have different campaigns for different winners based on their avatar subset, right?
Yeah, potentially. And that's something that I thought of as well. Because I'm like, if I'm going to split up these testing campaigns, don't want to split scale campaigns. Now, there's some issues when it comes to attribution data.
Yeah.
Which is essentially like what gets assigned to what sale, right? And
Right.
if you don't have really clear attribution data or UTM tracking, it can be challenging to figure that out, right? So there are other problems that will inevitably come up even with this just testing campaign and a broad umbrella campaign. Like there will be some issues undoubtedly that I encounter with some attribution data stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is take small steps. It's like, can I get my first goal is can I get good data back on the ads that I have? And can I put them in an environment that is more closely simulated to a scale environment rather than a retargeting or a minute, like very, very well spent environment. That's my first goal. It's like,
Right.
can I get, like, are all these ads, all almost 200 on them, actually shit?
Right. That's
That's my first goal.
That's reasonable. Let me be reckless. Once you find a winning ad for the grandmas and then a winning ad for the aunts and then a winning ad for the moms, you run the risk of putting them all in the same campaign and then one of them just crushes the other two, which is you don't want because you know that they generate money. But it could also help you identify what avatar is your best customer. Because you can target like 4 or 5 different avatars right now, and they're all valid, and you can have ad campaigns run for them independently. But it would also kind of be cool to know who really likes this product. And that could be once you have your winners that generate profit, you could pit them against each other. Then the winning ad campaign becomes the Thunderdome of the winner.
Well, some of my ideas for if I want to have separate, like, full scale campaigns, like one for grandmothers and then one for moms,
Yeah.
right? What I can do is take those campaigns, and for the grandmothers, I can limit the age group to 50 plus,
Yeah.
and I can limit the mothers group to less than 50 years old.
Yeah.
Right. And so kind of break it up like that. And that could help with attribution assignment and stuff
Yeah.
like that because they're not competing against one of the same person.
Yeah.
But I'll kind of see how things roll and how things go.
Cool.
But I at least I have some hope that I can get some conversion out of the ads that I've created.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna run this test with brand new advertisements. I'm
Mhm.
gonna run it with advertisements that I've already created,
It's a good idea.
already spent a lot of time with, just to test this theory.
Yeah.
Um, and the ads that I just launched in my umbrella campaign, I'm not gonna cut. What I am gonna do is the ad sets that I cut recently that have been decent. I'm gonna put those in a test campaign, run them all together. Minimum spend levels of $10 on $100 or $150 for the budget.
Right.
Let Facebook optimize the rest and see how they perform in it. That
Yeah.
I will do, just to kind of test the waters on it.
Yeah. It's like the marketing lady said the other week. Like you should of all the ads that you have done, you should have some that are performing at all. So like, right. So then even your shit ones, like when you look back and you're like, oh, that was like ad number 55 was weak shit, right? You could still throw it in that test campaign to confirm because you would be surprised. And also you get to go to you get closure on, oh, I didn't waste time building almost 200 ads for no reason, right?
Yeah.
5 of them are good.
Because I even remember back when I was starting out, like on ad like 20, back in the day when I thought I could make 10 ads and find a winner. Fucking idiot. But back in that day, I remember I was like on ad 20. Yeah. And I was running it in a separate campaign at the time because I didn't have this umbrella strategy.
Yeah.
And it was actually getting performance that was like 75% comparable to my winner at the time.
Yeah.
That's on ad 20. I'm literally on ad 200.
Right.
And I've gotten worse performance and worse spend.
Something's off.
It's like,
Yeah.
something's got to be off.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, at this point, I've done so much digging into it, so much trying to understand, different angles of this. And I'm not like the guru expert on this,
Yeah.
but I've at least dug into this a total over the past weeks of like 30, 40 hours.
Well, and the
At that
result,
point, I feel as though I at least have enough information to warrant me spending the time for future weeks to analyze these testing strategies.
yeah, you probably by proxy got way better at making ads without realizing that that isn't the biggest inhibitor because either you figure this out from the get-go and you run the testing campaigns in the way that we think it's going to work and you learn to build ads following what that teaches you, or you do the study that you have done instead to learn how to build a good ad, and now that you have unlocked this, oh shit, like I can go test against each other, like I would say that you're more likely to find a winner faster because your ads are higher quality. You're not using the test to build good ads. You probably have decent ads now.
Yeah.
And you can figure out which ones make the best money.
Even at a base level,
Yeah.
right? Even if I put a winner into the winning campaign and it eventually will win, the amount of time that winner I had seen would take because it's warning limited because of the low spend level, like in that amount of time, I could have just put it in a test campaign and found out.
Right.
Right. And so I've gone back to this trend before,
Mhm.
right? The difference I feel as though now is I have a much clearer understanding of how Facebook operates in the background, what it optimizes for, how it optimizes, how duplicate works, how copy works, how scaling works, Like I have much bigger framework of understanding. So going into this, I have more tools in my toolboxes to assess the put-downs.
Yeah.
So that's why I put it a little bit different right now. Before I was just throwing together test campaigns and being, oh, it didn't work.
Right.
X, right?
Right.
Which is I'm not at that point anymore.
Right. Good.
But that was a very long-winded business update. Hopefully some of this ad stuff can help you too
Mhm.
in your future fun ad endeavors. It's a blast.
Yeah.
But hopefully it can be helpful in that respect. Um,
I learned something new. I learn something new every podcast. And when I get back to Facebook ads, I'm excited to use it. I don't have the money for Facebook ads right now. But okay, so here's my business update. I have much less than you do, not because I did less work, but because it's all one chunk of work and it took forever. So I'll start off with an update on the current clients that I have, right? So the out of state clients that we've been working with for the past like several months. Um, I think actually I contacted these clients in our first or second American Muscle Car Museum podcast. So like that's how many months it's been working for these people, right? I forget where I last left off in the last podcast. It doesn't matter. The TLDR is they wanted to put an offer in on a house on the west coast of Florida. We said, okay, we talked to the agent. Grace and I aren't going to drive out there this week, but we could drive out there next week and do a virtual walkthrough. And they were like, actually, I don't like this house. I don't like the way it looks. Let's go to this other house. Okay, cool. No problem. Now we're looking at this other house, right? And they were like, let's just put an offer in. And I was like, wow, sight unseen. Okay. Like, let's see if we can get the listing agent to do a virtual walkthrough to see if you even like the floor plan, just because I don't want you to put an offer on a house that you end up not liking, right? And I know that you appreciate the virtual walkthrough. So let's see if we can get that worked out. And they were like, no, it's cool. Like, let's just write the offer. And I'm like, okay. So we write the offer, we get the pre-approval letter, we send it to the listing agent. This was on the long weekend last weekend, so they had an extra day to reply. And on that final day to reply, they wrote us out of nowhere and they were like, oh, hey, our dream house just popped up in the state we're currently living in. So we're going to take the offer on that house, rescind our offer on the west coast of Florida. And I'm like, okay, cool. No problem. I'm happy you have your dream house. Good stuff, right? As previously mentioned a few weeks ago, when you guys decided to not buy a house in Florida that time, and I asked you to write me a Google review, now that actually you guys are moving forward on a different house somewhere else, obviously we're not going to ask you for commission or anything else like that. And if you ever do decide to move to Florida, we're happy to work with you again. But we have put a lot of effort into this, so we would appreciate a Google review. And they were like, "Yep, sounds good, no problem." So okay. That was on like Tuesday or Wednesday this week, and I don't think I have gotten a review yet. I haven't checked, but usually I get a notification when I get a review, and I haven't gotten one yet. So if that's the case, then I'm gonna have to harp on these people, which is a bummer because I don't like spamming people. But at the same time, I'm not gonna put in 3 months of work and get absolutely nothing for it. I need at least a Google review. It takes no energy to just give 5 stars and be done with it, or 3 stars, or 4. I don't fucking care. Like, just give me feedback. I don't give a shit.
yeah.
I just need some type of credit. Um, so it's a bummer because I got a lot out of showing them all those properties and writing all those offers. I learned a lot more about the market and I learned how to deal with clients who are very particular and their desires change from house to house. So now I know how to better navigate that. And I know for the next time I have clients like this, how to cut to the chase and find out like the root of the issue before dealing with all this. And I have also learned to set clearer expectations when it comes to Google reviews, because they seem to not care. So that's a bummer on those clients. Um, but similar to the last time they bailed out, um, on the same day that they bailed out, our other unrelated investor client who's looking for a house in this area to flip or put tenants in, was like, we got a call from the listing agent for an offer that we had put an offer down on a few weeks ago, and they said, "Hey, our current buyers are flaking, so it looks like we're going to be accepting offers again. If you could have an offer written by the end of the day, we'll accept it and move forward on the sale." And I'm like, "Dude, hell yeah, let's go! Great opportunity. We know the listing agent, or we know the buying agent that had the flaky buyers, and they gave us a heads up about this ahead of time. So we told our client the day before. We were like, we might have an opportunity tomorrow." Opportunity came. The prophecy is fulfilled. I was like, this is our chance. Crazy great deal, right? It's selling for $35,000 less than it should. It's in your price range. This is, if you're going to buy an investment property, this is the investment property. We could put it on the market and list it again the next week with better marketing and get 35 grand. I know that, right? And they were like, okay, cool. Let me think about it. No response. Didn't go for it. Okay, fine. I understand, but that is indicating to me that you're not a serious buyer. If you didn't go for this because you needed time to think about it, then you're not in the position that you're actually ready to buy right now, and that's okay. But that means I'm not going to be doing more showings with you or like looking for properties or anything until you're ready, because I don't want to waste my time when I could be going out and getting serious buyers, right? So double bummer there. I don't know if I'm going to ask for a Google review for this person, because we have written an offer or two, but we haven't gotten as deep as we did with these out of state clients where we showed them like 12 properties and wrote like 7 offers. I've done enough work for those people to warrant a Google review. Um, our potential seller clients who got a dumpster in the front yard and I offered to go help clear out the house last week, didn't get a response back. Called them again this week to be like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, did you clear the house out with no issue? Like, what's going on?" No reply. Um, so again, this is another instance where I'm going to have to harp on them and like continually reach out, which I don't like doing because I don't want to be annoying, but I also want a response. Like that's something else I think I can do better with the next clients is being upfront with like, "Hey, it's okay to tell me no. It's okay to be honest and tell me you're not sure, but don't leave me hanging because I'm ready to go to work for you. I'll work crazy hours to help you get where you need to go. But if we're moving a different direction, we're a team and I need to know that. Otherwise, I'm spinning my wheels and I don't appreciate it." So that's a bummer. I have to send out more reach. Um, we have a different out of state client who's actually friends. We have a mutual friend in Rockledge. They expressed interest in moving. We found them some options a few months ago, and they never replied to us. And so I tried reaching out again a few weeks ago, and the text didn't go through. It was like not delivered. It had the little red thing. And I was like, weird. So I tried calling straight to voicemail and I was like, am I blocked? And so I checked with ChatGPT and no, when you're blocked, your message goes through and it says delivered, but it's never read because it is technically sent to their phone, but they just aren't opening it. I've been blocked before, so like I kind of understand, not from clients, but from like ex-girlfriends and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that must mean that there's a problem with their line or like their phone line. Maybe they changed it and they don't know our number. That's okay. I sent them an email, no reply. So then I'm talking to our mutual friend yesterday, and they're like, "Oh no, that is still their phone number. Like that should still be working." And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, they've actually been getting emails from like this other real estate agent." And so they showed me a screenshot, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't look like an email from an actual agent. That looks like she was on a website looking at properties and she got put on an automated email list. Here are the things that I've been sending." And so I showed all the attempts to contact, excluding phone calls. Um, and they were like, "Oh, that's really weird. Like, I wonder why she's not getting it." So now I have a different mutual friend that is related to this person to try to get to this person. But like the fucking repeated theme here is that it's difficult to get a hold of people. And it's not even that I'm trying to get people to like buy or sell anything. It's just like I need an update to know where we're at so we can move together. I'm happy to move at any pace, but I need to know where you're at so that I can move at that pace with you. Because I don't want to slow you down and I don't want to push you faster than you want to go. But if I don't know how fast the car is moving, I have my eyes closed. So again, a repeated theme of like just getting my dick kicked this week has not been fun. But in some brighter news, our apartment clients that we helped get the $1,000 off their first month, I've told you about them before. The apartment complex did not properly apply their credit, so they ended up having to pay a full month of rent when they weren't planning to. And they still haven't been applied that credit coming up to September. And so when they went to pay September rent, I said, "Don't pay it yet. I'm going to write the listing agent, or I'm sorry, the leasing agent on Labor Day last Monday." I sent him a message at like 1 a.m. on Labor Day. And I was like, "Hey, bud, this still isn't figured out. They will not be paying rent until it's fixed, and they will not be paying a late fee either. So get your ass in the office and let's put the labor in Labor Day." That is a direct quote from the text I sent to him because I was furious. And sure as shit, the next day they wake up and the credit has been applied. They're good to pay rent. So they pay rent. Their AC is out as well, which is a bummer. I feel so bad for these clients because like we did a great job finding them an apartment that they like. The leasing agent was really nice when we went into the office and like everything was hunky dory until they moved in and things started to go wrong out of people's control.
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict the future though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and technically, like my duties ended when they signed their lease. I have done my job and now I'm out. But I'm practicing the lifetime value thing where when you get me as an agent once, you have me forever, right? Um, so they were like, "Hey, I'm just confused because we got the credit back, but we still had to pay like $300 this month, and I thought it was going to be free." And like, I don't know, they're not like super big math people, right? And so I was like, "Give me screenshots of your balance sheet in your apartment app, and I'll compare that with the records that I have from before you signed your lease." So I made this big ass Excel sheet, like tracking all the balances and everything, so that I could follow it more easily. But then I was able to figure out, actually, that's true. They have a $250 and $60 credit that they said they would apply to our clients, but they never actually did. So they paid $350 this month, but they have $310 in credit. So they should have only paid $40 this month. So they were totally right. Their gut feeling was correct. So I went back into the office the next day and I said, "Hey man, I crunched the numbers. Here's my Excel sheet. You guys still owe them $300." And they were like, "Oh, that's right. Totally cool. We'll get that applied today." And then they did. It's prorated for the next month. And while they were there, I talked to the maintenance manager who confirmed that they're going to be replacing the AC the next day. And so I gave them a heads up about that too, which is nice because they worked the night before. So I was like, "Hey, expect to be woken up in the morning with these AC people because I know you're getting home late, right?" And so that was really awesome. We fucking crushed it. And then they wrote us a really sweet Facebook review. So thank you to you know who you are. That means a lot, as evidenced by the myriad of other clients that I'm putting an equal amount of effort into and are not getting anything back.
Sometimes, it's I deal with like a different set of customer issues.
Mhm.
What's actually been really interesting lately, vast majority of the people love the product and really enjoy it. And the majority of my reviews have been like weird stuff like, um, I thought this was gonna be bigger,
What?
or
The
yeah,
toy?
like I thought the gramophone was gonna be bigger. Like they thought it was gonna be like a full size gramophone. I'm like,
Yeah.
you watch like
Any of the videos?
or look at like any of
Yeah.
the photos. It's like it's and so like
You
what
think you're getting a full size plastic gramophone for $40?
yeah.
Okay.
They're confused or whatever. I get
Yeah.
it, but it's like it's been like stuff like that. And I found that a lot of the practices in drop shipping are either to like ignore or to like offer very, very low refunds. And I have like a high value on my time in terms of trying to grow the business.
Yeah.
And so my approach has been present an offer that would be stupid to refuse the first time and then just take the hit and move on.
Yeah.
That's been my approach this far. So it's like anytime someone messages me back, I'll do something like 30 to 50% back.
Right.
And I'll be like, or if they'll message me, be like, hey, like, I thought this was gonna be like a little bit bigger. I want, and they'll write something because people are used to bad customer service, so they'll write something super furious, right? Like, I want all of my money back. I want this returned immediately and credit on my fraud. I thought this was gonna be bigger, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? And I just write like a calm, positive, giving like, hey, like, not a problem, totally understand. You thought the gramophone was gonna be bigger. Maybe it'll be good as a gift, right? And then I just refund them some balance, right? $50. Or I had someone the other day who was thought that the price was in Australian dollars rather than US dollars. And so they were really upset. They wanted to return the whole thing, get a full refund. And I was like, why don't I just refund you the difference between Australian and US dollars? You said it does you Australian dollars. I'll just make it Australian dollars for you.
Right.
And refunded them. It was a larger order. And so I refunded them $34.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that. Right. People get freaked out. They think they're going to get scammed and whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. And so just being like, hey, like, if you thought it was Australian dollars, like, I get it. Made a mistake. It's totally cool. I'm not going to hold your money hostage. Why don't we just make it Australian dollars for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so it's stuff like that. But
I think generally that's good business practice is just give the review because it's better to have happy customers at a cost. Right?
yeah, especially if I'm trying to build a long-term brand.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So, yeah.
So then my last client update is that I was talking to someone yesterday and they're potentially interested in buying their first house in the next 6 months, which is cool. I really like working with people who haven't bought a house before because I get to share the whole process with them from start to finish. A lot of people, the idea of getting a house is cool. And then once they get started, they're like, whoa, there's a lot of steps that I didn't know there were here. And so I have an opportunity to break it down into digestible terms, right?
Yeah.
So like yesterday we were talking about, if it's your first time buying a house, you can use, or actually not even first time, if you live in Florida, you can use an FHA loan and do a down payment as little as 3.5%. So your monthly rate is lower, right? But you have to pay private mortgage insurance, PMI, to cover the gap until your principal is paid off at least 20%, which is a standard conventional loan, 20% down payment. And so the PMI, is different for everyone. The loan rate is different for everyone, but mortgage rates are looking like they're going to be going down. So when you want to buy in 6 months, it might be a better time. It was a good conversation. So there's a little bit of potential there with that client. It's great that they don't want to buy for 6 months either, because it means that we have time to introduce the process to them, run through some sample properties as examples. So the next time I see something pop up that's in their price range that they might be interested in, I'll show it to them, see if I get a good understanding for what they're actually looking for. And then we'll do a breakdown of what monthly mortgage payments might actually look like for them. So that's cool. That's my client's update. The actual work that I did this week is fucked. It so it's September 7th right now, which means last week was September 1st. And if you'll remember, at the beginning of August, Grace and I each filmed a market report for, I did Satellite Beach and she did Merritt Island, right? It's 1 minute. It walks through how many houses were sold, what was the average sale price, what was the most expensive house sold, and how long our house is sitting on the market. 1 minute video with some simple graphics, right? Doesn't take long to record, doesn't take long to edit, doesn't take long to write. The reason I'm doing these videos is they're modeled exactly off of Hannah Dubine, who lives in Washington, and in a podcast once said, if I had to start over from scratch today, I would do my YouTube videos again. And I was like, cool, well, I'm just going to do the YouTube videos she does. So Grace and I each did one last month, super easy to crank out. I was like, I bet I could make Canva templates and like crush these, right? And then I thought, oh, if I just zoom the video in, like change the framing and then change the Canva templates around a little bit, I could do it for the phone for Instagram too. So I have one for YouTube, one for Instagram and TikTok. Sweet, Facebook. And so at the beginning of September, I was like, well, since these are so easy to make, instead of doing one city for each of us, I'm going to do every city in Brevard for both of us. So there's 16 cities in Brevard. So that means I have to go in and write the script for 16 cities in Brevard. There's, I think, 17 slides in each video. So 17 or 20 different data points I have to get from the MLS. So I started writing the scripts as soon as the info came out on midnight, September 1st. And that writing the scripts took way longer than I thought. It took like a full day to write all the scripts to get all the info for each place. Then I went in and started making the Canva templates, right? So there's 17 frames on Canva for each of us, so 17 times 2, and then I need to duplicate that entire set for half frames for the vertical film ones, right? So now I have 17 times 4 slides for 16 cities. That was a lot. So then I had done like half of that when I was like, okay, now we should record, right? They're only 1 minute videos, but with the way that we record, we usually take gaps and then we edit out the gaps. So each recording is actually like 2.5 minutes, right? But it's been cloudy this week and I can only record after work. So on the first day, I was like, let's go crush it at the Merritt Island office for Blue Marlin. So we drove up to the office and we got there and we had limited time to get it done. And when we got there, we realized that the camera battery wasn't charged. We only have one camera battery. So then we looked up online. It turns out that you can charge the camera by cable like we're having to do with ours right now, right? Cool. But it takes a USB mini charger, which is at home. So fuck, okay, let's drive home and get my charger because I know we have one. And by then we're running it late with the lighting. So we should drive to the Satellite Beach office because it's a shorter drive and try to record there. So we drive home, we get the charger, try to charge it in the car. It's not working. So we turn around halfway to the Satellite Beach office, make it almost all the way home before we realize that if I plug it into the laptop and not the car, that it does charge. So we turn around again to go back to the Satellite Beach office. We get to the Satellite Beach office, plug it into the wall. It's not charging. So we plug it into the laptop and it is charging again. That doesn't make any sense. We start to record and then it stops recording after like 2 minutes. We get one video done. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is it not charging through the computer? No, incorrect. It's not charging through the computer because that second generation camera doesn't charge through cable. It connects to upload videos through cable.
Yeah, so
that's
show
cable
light.
So it's
Right.
showing a light,
Yeah.
but it doesn't charge. It's the next generation camera, which looks the same, that has that, right? And the YouTube video Grace watched that said that it had the video actually said it's the second gen camera that charges by cable. So that guy in the YouTube video was wrong, and that fucked the whole. I'm livid at this point. I'm so upset because we fucked up like 5 times in a row on a day that I wanted to crush all these videos to get all of them done like as soon as August was over. Because if I get these videos, these labeled August videos out in the middle of September, that's going to feel old to people, even though you get the date at the end of August, right? And so I'm fucking furious and I'm so upset. And so I told Grace, I was like, I'm going to work until like fucking 5 a.m. tonight and like go home.
As a small thing, have you considered reframing just very slightly the video instead of doing a summary of like August, doing a summary of like so far this year? Just that one part.
Yeah.
Because then you can run the ads for a couple months. You got a little bit of buffer, right? People aren't going to have their own MLS to look at all these data points, and they're not going to fluctuate that much, I would assume, in a month, right? And it just makes the ad a little bit has a little bit more longevity.
Yeah.
Just that small tweak.
There's a couple different tweaks that I have in mind,
Okay.
and reframing it that way in the title is one of them, because I can still talk about August data in the video. It's just the
Sure.
title I don't want people to
Yeah.
know by. But so we fuck up that first day, and like Grace and I are both pissed because A, neither of us like fucking up, and then B, also we wanted to get this done. And so we both agreed that the next day, like, we're gonna pay a lot of attention and like fully dedicate ourselves to crushing it, and we did. So we had all of the stuff finished for Grace. We had just enough daylight to get all of Grace's videos done, and she had put makeup on to look nice and stuff. And so I was like, we're gonna do all of yours, and then we'll do all of mine if there's lighting. So we do all of hers. There's no more light for me. That's okay. I'm gonna get her stuff out first, anyways, right? So then I go back and start editing, and I realize that one of the Canva slides is the median sale, or the number of days, number of listings per August for the past 5 years. And that takes significantly longer to find in the MLS because you have to filter by year, research, filter by year. It takes like maybe 10 minutes to do it for each of them. So 10 times 16, it adds up. And I was like, fuck, I have to go through and do all these Canva things again for all 4 for each of us for all 16. Fucking nightmare. So like, as I'm doing this, I'm finding faster ways to edit in Canva, so it's taking less and less time as I go. As I start to edit, I find shortcuts in, like, now I know that I can drag and select a bunch of video segments, and then I can reframe the size to cut from short to the hamburger to hot dog style, right? And so as I'm going through all of this, I'm like getting better at it, but every single video is taking like just long enough for me to go, fuck, I still have 14 of these to do. I still have 13 of these to do. So at midnight last night, I finished the last one for Grace. So I have all of Grace's horizontal and vertical ones done. Haven't even recorded mine. At this point, I don't think I'm going to. At this point,
I would just test Grace's.
I'm gonna put, Grace has already started posting hers, and then I'm going to make a post that we can each put on Instagram that says, hey, check out this YouTube channel, Grace's, for the August market report. So we're gonna market it together. And an idea that I had for the next time we do this is, instead of doing just Grace or just Mason, have both of us in frame and have one of us say something about the average number of days on market, and then the other person talks about add median list price, like switch it back and forth. Then I edit one video twice, and then we can each post it on our channel. So that's one way of improving.
One way, another idea too is doing like a kind of role play style video where one of you is like asking typical customer questions and the other one's answering.
Yeah. So I had another idea. The Powerball happened like all this week, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Did anyone win?
someone won last night.
Okay.
Two people won. They won $1.8 billion. They have to split it between the two. But as I was learning about the lottery process, I found a lawyer who actually lives in Indy Atlantic, or he works in Indy Atlantic, who helps lottery winners remain anonymous and stuff like that. But I realized my initial impression was, I don't trust the lawyer. I'm not going to give him my lottery ticket. I'm not going to put him in charge of a trust, right? But over the course of watching several of his podcasts, I was like, oh, he has a like legal fiduciary responsibility to take care of my shit. He is an honorable guy. He's done this before. Like, you can have third-party independent people like auditing to make sure he doesn't do it. And so like, I built a lot of trust through listening to his podcasts. And so I had a similar idea with Grace, where I was like, dude, we should do a role play type of thing. Someone who's a first-time home buyer, similar to our new client, who might have a lot of questions. I can pretend to ask the questions and you can pretend to answer them, right? There's actually a guy called Russ Flips Whips on TikTok who does a good job of this with used cars. So like, he'll be at a used car dealership and you'll pretend to be a customer arguing with him, and then he'll show you how it should be done.
Got it.
And so I was like, these would be a cool video idea to do as well. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Sorry.
And so as I'm editing through these videos, it's like, the helicopter meme where it's like, it starts to fade out and there's helicopters in the background.
Oh yeah.
PTSD. That's what I'm getting with these videos, but they're finally done. And they're all out. So I started to understand what the real meaning of volume is with doing all of these fucking videos. I'm glad they're done. I'm not doing them for me. I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to do it next month, because I can't do this every month.
Something that I found is really, really helpful, because I used to do this style of like, create a full advertisement, and you just do that again and again and again and again. It sucks.
Yeah.
From everything that I've learned and researched, and what I hope to see come to life in my new testing strategy is that 80% of your advertising dollars in the hook. So what I would do is, at least my recommendation would be, is create like 3 bodies. One that's targeted towards like new customers looking for a home in Brevard that have a bunch of questions, that kind of thing. One that's like, I'm in the home process, but I'm a little bit confused about how to understand if this home is right for me.
Right.
And then another process that's like, I've worked with other agents, I don't have a good experience. How do you offer something different? Those 3 bodies, and then have like 10, 20, 30 different hooks that are just like a 4-second segment, and just do like a 10, let's say 10 different hooks to start. Now suddenly you have 30 potential advertisements.
Right.
Right. And then just run those and just see what converts and
And
what.
so these aren't running as ads. These are just posted on YouTube and TikTok.
Oh,
Because
okay.
right now
Sorry.
I don't have
Yes.
the money to run Facebook ads.
My bad. Yeah.
But
Sorry.
it is good prep for running Facebook ads. So when I thought we were closing with the out-of-state clients, the commission on that would have been like $2,600 for me. And I was like, awesome, I can afford to put all of that into Facebook ads and go like fucking bananas on it and let it run for a couple months. And so now that that's not happening, I'm like, okay, fuck, I have to put a pause on the Facebook ads because I can't afford it right now.
You still can do the bodies and 1 hook for each.
Yeah.
But just keep track. And after you have enough, once you get into the Facebook ads, just chop and then
So the first month at the end of July was the replicate, right? And then this month was replicate times 10, which is actually times 16. And then next month is going to be iterate. So next month, I'm going to rewrite the scripts so that the MIMS housing report has a different hook than the Titusville housing report. And then I'm going to shuffle around the things to see which does better views and engagement wise on these platforms. And then eventually when it comes time to run ads, I probably won't run a market report ad in Facebook, but I will have a better idea of what hooks better when I make Facebook ads. So that's what I spent my basically entire week doing. I also started reaching out to people. If you'll recall, I have that big long Excel sheet of everybody that I knew from high school, and I'm like, going to start calling them one by one. I planned on starting to call them one by one this week, but I was re-listening to some of the leads book from Hormozy because I was like, how do I make these calls not sound like I'm just trying to figure out like if you want to buy or sell real estate, right? Because I don't want to be a salesman. I want to be a friend and the person that you go to when you buy real estate. And so he was like, you need to, personalization is going to beat volume every time, right? If you could do volume with personalization, that's ideal. And I was like, okay, Hormozy recommends having like 2 or 3 bullet points on a person, like what's happening in their life currently when you call them. And so amidst doing all this video editing, I was like, when I'm done with this video editing, I'm going to go collect like 2 or 3 data points for like 10 people. And then the next day I'll call those 10 people. And then I'm going to keep going down the line. And so that's going to be my lead gen that I focus on in this upcoming week. I also sent out letters in the mail to my previous teachers with the Starbucks gift card. And I was like, let's meet up for coffee and like talk about real estate. And I actually got a DM on Facebook from one of them. It was my my PE teacher from elementary school. And she was like, hey, I got your letter. I really appreciate it. But I am, I sold my family home. I'm living in this home. I'm in retirement. I'm not going to move anytime soon, but I appreciate it. And I was like, hey, not a problem at all. Like, I'm happy the letter got to you. And I wanted to share with you one of the lessons that you taught me and my fellow students in PE. It stuck with me through all these years. You mentioned that a lesson your dad taught you was when you are dating a man, make sure that one of your first dates is to go golfing, because if he misses the ball or has a bad shot and he hits the green, it will be abusive to you and you should leave him. That's your telltale indicator. It's a freebie telltale indicator, because the amount of effort that it takes to maintain and groom a golf course, is not something that should be disrespected. So any man that hits the green with his club is not a quality man. And so I work every day to try to be the man that doesn't hit the golf club when he gets frustrated. And I want you to know, who you are, that I keep that in mind every day. And I attribute that to be a huge reason for why I have a successful relationship today. And she was super touched by that. So, so far, no leads from the letters in the mail, but I did get a good conversation, and that made me happy. And then I continued my open house streak with another open house this weekend. I have not missed one yet since I started doing them in, I can't remember when, May probably. Every weekend, still doing it. We had 3 people come through this week. All of them had agents already, which is kind of a bummer. But it is what it is. Still glad I did it. And I actually, okay, the last thing here is Grace is going to get a part-time job. And the reason is she has a fucking shitload in student loans every month. And right now she's like, hey, I'm kind of running low on money. Unless we make a sale in the next like 1 month, I need to get a part-time job or I will run out of money. And her dad co-signed on the loan. So if she like defaults on the loan, it impacts him. So she's going to get a part-time job. And I was like, okay, that's a bummer because I like that you do real estate full-time and I think it's very helpful. But I think there's a way that we can FITSA Mercedes our way into making this better, into a situation that's better than before. For example, the top agent at Blue Marlin actually worked as a bartender before he was a real estate agent, and he continued to be a bartender after starting as a real estate agent for years, even when he didn't need the money, because it put him in touch with so many clients. And so I was like, we're going to get you a job that pays exactly what you need to meet your student loans and nothing more. And you're going to go to that job for 3 or 2 days a week, and you're going to meet clients while you're there. You're going to go someplace that has regulars. You're going to befriend the people, and then we're going to go from there. So we're targeting yoga studios, Pilates studios, country clubs, golf courses, hair salons, stuff like that. There's actually a place called the Dry Bar in Vieira, which is where women pay like a flat rate per month to go in and get their hair done like whenever they want or something like that. So it's people with money that come in regularly. So we're applying to all those places. And on my list is the O'Galley Yacht Club because that's where I used to go for the banquets at Space Coast Cruise.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was like, hold off on going to that one. I'll go with you because I have some people there that I know. And she was like, cool. And one of the people I reached out to this week just to regularly touch base and say, hey, do you know anyone who's looking to buy or sell? Is a friend of mine who's a member of the yacht club. And he was like, I don't actually know anyone who's looking to buy or sell, but I did get this in my email inbox today. And it was an invitation to an event that the O'Galley Yacht Club is having this upcoming week for real estate agents and yacht club members to try to get real estate agents to become members at the yacht club. And I was like, hell yeah, dude, I'll go to that and I'll network like crazy. So we're going to that on Thursday.
Nice.
But that is my business update. It was getting kicked in the nuts by clients and then kicking myself in the nuts with videos. So I'm glad all that is over. Tonight, I go back to my data spreadsheet of following a shitload of people on social media and getting bullet points to call them.
Nice. Yeah, I think my goals for tonight are to set up the testing campaign structure. And then I'm also going to start, I'm either going to create some more ads for this legacy thing, or I'm going to start my screen-free side, screen-free educational side of things, just depending on how they go. But I want to set up the test campaign and kind of, I also have I have to analyze the creatives that I cut. So I gotta go through and do a little spreadsheet work.
Yeah.
I got a few things to button up tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cannot tell you how excited I am to not have to go to work next week.
I envy you. I continually am forgetting that I am taking the day off tomorrow. I've forgotten 4 times today. Every time I remember, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of driving back and forth to Orlando, and probably less business work and more being there, right? But I have the leverage of all day Friday and then Saturday, Sunday as well. So yeah.
Cool. What life lessons did you learn this week?
Actually, I kind of forgot about the life lessons because I forgot about it as a bullet point here. But I would say that actually this one ties in well. It's under my business, but it's good for life too. Is
Or sorry, I guess it's just lessons learned.
yeah. But it's like being able to say no, I think is like something that I'm continuously improving on. Like I said no to the Saturday shift. I think something that I could iterate from there on to do a little bit better at is like just saying no and not feeling obligated to give an explanation. Because like something that I traditionally do is like I say no because.
Right.
And like I think I can just say no, and then if someone asks, I can give them the because.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't need to like push the because on them.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'm doing it more for my own sake in order to feel like other people feel like I'm justified in saying no.
Right.
Right.
It's like no, I'm sorry, or no because.
Yeah. Right. And I think can just say no.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm iterating on for there, and I would wrap that into kind of like life and business stuff. Just because I had some people reach out to me from the Fort Lauderdale thing, and they like wanted to set a meeting call or whatever, and so I set up a meeting call with like one of them for a half hour.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of clear to me that like we were in different spots.
Yeah.
And so like after that point, like I'm not super invested in, continue to have like a once a week phone call with this person, right?
If it's not valuable.
Yeah, yeah. But additionally, onto that, some other lessons I learned this week was also just working more and working harder. So I've just been trying to adjust the space I work in some more as well to kind of optimize my workflow and stuff like that. So taking away distractions. I had like super bad allergies this week, like really, really bad to cats. For whatever reason, just like
Weird.
spurred up. I couldn't sleep, felt atrocious. And so and it's not like the place is like super unclean or whatever. Like we clean once a week or every other week. Like it's not that.
I struggle to work at home because of the cats. Because I will get distracted and play with them and pet them and stuff.
Yeah,
They'll lay down on the couch.
I
That's why
started
work
keeping them
out.
out of the room, which sucks
Yeah.
because I actually really like their company. But like if my allergies are gonna flare up like crazy because they're
Yeah.
in the room, like that's a problem. So
Dude, I told my parents this weekend, I was like, I would be so content with the exact same building, 2 floors up on the top floor, 2-bed apartment. So that one bed can be like a work study room for Grace and I. Cause like I'm okay with if she's in there working, I can put headphones on and like focus. But like the cats are a huge distraction for me. So I get that.
yeah. So kind of optimize my space in that way. And what I realized too was like part of my spur, I know I've been going off on this testing campaign thing too, but part of my spur for this testing campaign too was like, I realized that I've gotten much more efficient at creating ads. Like I have a strategy in terms of like bodies and hooks that I then combine and I can create. Like it took me about from actually relatively start. Like I had some footage I wanted to use, but like start on the script generation for the hooks and the bodies to fully created ads, sitting down flat, it took me about 14 hours yesterday, just straight through.
Yeah.
And so, like, that process, I realized, like, I can probably crank that about twice a week very effectively. Because I can do, about 4 hours a day after work, approximately, if I optimize the space a little bit.
Right.
And so I can do that. After 3 days, I'll have a set generated, and then I can generate another set or two probably over the weekend.
Right.
And so I can generate kind of like 3 sets. But the thing is I need in this umbrella strategy, I need to run tests for a full week, and I can't really run more than like 5 different ad sets. And if I can generate 15 different ad sets in a week, that puts me at a disadvantage.
Right.
Because now my system is not quick enough for the pace that I can work at this point. And so that's part of what my testing campaign
It's a
thing
good
is.
problem
But
to have.
yeah. So doing more work and working harder on that work is something that I've been focusing on this week, and more volume at quality. But figuring out how I can create volume at quality has been part of this process of like breaking down quality hooks and quality bodies, and then figuring out how they can mesh together yet feel personalized and like they're talking to a single person.
Right.
That's been part of a challenge. And then like if I can't get it perfect, like if 75% of my combos work really, really well, but 25% don't, I just run with it, and the 25% will just be like a dump. Like I'll run them, but like I don't expect them to convert.
Right.
And then if they do convert, it's a nice surprise, right? So I won't like kill the 75% that are great for a 25% gain. Like I'll just run the 75% that feel really good, and then the 25% that are like kind of mismatched.
Right.
Like I'll just run them and whatever. So kind of like doing stuff like that. Trying to create quality, but like also not like balancing that with iteration and speed is something that I've kind of been learning this week.
Yeah.
But what do you have for us for life or business lessons learned?
I struggled to define a lesson this week just because most of my week was spent. I have found that if I am not contacting new people, I feel like I'm falling behind because every new person I contact is a potential lead. And if I'm not contacting those people, I feel like I'm falling behind because I am. And all this week doing this video editing, I have not put myself in touch with any new people. Like following on social media or talking on the phone, none of it. It's just been getting these videos done. And ideally, the videos result in people reaching out, but I also haven't seen that happen yet. So apart from the out of state agents, right? So that's been a bummer, but I also can recognize that this is the point where most people quit. Like I mentioned a few weeks ago, the friend that I had in real estate quit recently, and it's because he probably hit this point and then was like, "Fuck this!" Like I'm doing a lot of work and not seeing anything else. So consistent lesson with what I have been learning recently.
Yeah.
Just learning it week over week. But I've written here the Florida Tech rowing team's motto is persistence prevails when all else fails, and that's kind of what I'm experiencing right now, which is that I just need to like put my head down and keep going and not worry about how well, like, not get commission breath, I guess is what it is. Like, don't get so desperate that you start to not follow the principles that you have set out.
Yeah.
Because I can see how easy it is for someone, like if I had quit my engineering job and I was only reliant on this, I can definitely see how someone would get desperate enough to start like, lying to clients or stretching the truth to clients to get a sale closed, right?
Right.
And Grace and I have done a really good job at not succumbing to that at all. Even though the money would be hugely helpful, Grace needs to pay her student loans. I really want to run more Facebook ads and I need the money to do that. And like we both have like huge motivating factors, but we're not letting that inhibit the way that we practice.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel good at least. But yeah, just I have learned that this is the part where I just need to keep going.
Yep. Yeah. It's I'm a very similar boat. I got a few debts that I neglect to look at because I find that I know they're there, I know they exist.
Yeah.
Like I need to just focus on the path that has the highest probability of getting me out of those debts.
Yep.
And so I'm just like channeling on that. Like this is back burner. If it's May and it's owed in June, I'll assess it there. Right. But like right now, I got some time. So
Yep.
yeah, similar boat, just continuing to grind through it.
Yeah.
But that's about all I had for this week.
That's all I have.
Cool.
Hopefully I have more better stuff next week, but so glad that I got done what I did this week.
No, it was good. It was we all have those weeks. I've
Yeah.
had many of them too.
I think I just bit off more than I wanted to chew. Not more than I could, but more than I wanted to. Like on day 3 editing these videos, I was like, oh, I thought I was going to be able to crank this out in a day and a half, and I was sorely mistaken. It took 7 days to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
The email marketing thing, like, oh, fuck, dude, like that was something where I thought like, oh, this will be the same integration style as my other email marketing program. Like I can get this done in like, 3 hours or something like that.
yeah.
I was so wrong.
Yep.
It was like a completely new platform, new frameworks, like like just even like small things and like the styling or how they structure things differently or stuff like that. Like it's all a learning curve, and it's like, okay, YouTube tutorial. Okay, back to this. Okay, create this. Well, I don't actually want it to do like that because then it's gonna do this and that.
Yep.
It's like the thing I thought would take 3 hours took me like a day and a half, and when it was like a day and a half, it was like 16 hours.
Yeah.
Like a day and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Working day and a half.
And so yeah, I get it. Everything takes longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, been there. But cool.
All right.
Well, thank you for tuning in to
I have a dial-up
I'm
quote.
sorry. Shit.
My dial-up
I'm
quote
sorry.
today is a Hormozy quote that I thought would be applicable to both of us, right? Because
Yeah.
I found that most of our weekly updates are pretty consistent. There's not really dramatic changes from one week to the next, right? If we won the lottery, I'd have a different Alex Hormozy quote, but I did not win the lottery. So it's do so much volume that it would be unreasonable that you would be unsuccessful.
Yep. 100%. 100% love that quote. And thank you for tuning in this week. A little bit weird mic issues potentially in the middle of this video, so apologies for that. So like every slew of technical difficulty we could have happened in the last 3 hours.
It's the same technical difficulties that I ran into on Monday this past week, and
Yeah.
told myself
That charger isn't charging the batteries.
Yeah.
The camera's being all wonk. Mics are going out. People walking through. There's like a whole bunch of lighting's all, going in and out today.
Yeah.
It's all weird, but hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you stay until the end, and even if you didn't, thank you for being support and continuing to follow us on our journeys. So we will see you next week, and have a good one.